Preservation. With me, our fellow board members, Nina Edward Anker, Susan Stevenson, and Jane Clare. So with that, we have quorum. So motion to open the June 23rd meeting of the Southampton Village Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also joining us is our counsel, Alice Cooley. Jackie Allen is remote taking notes, and Sage is taking care of videography in the back. Just for notes, because it's a long time, the next meeting of this board is July 14th. So the way the calendar falls, and material night, if you're going forward from here, the material due date for that meeting is July the 8th. Okay, so that takes us to the agenda. And the first thing on the agenda is 1880 Meadow Lane for a demolition request. And I think you have comments on that, Council.
Yeah, I don't know why that's on here.
Okay.
I think we know the structure of this building. It was built in 1990?
1991.
1991, yeah, the board has no purview. So those are my comments.
Oh, so the comments is we're going to send that one back to the building department?
There's nothing for the board to do, so move on.
Okay. So then we will move on to minute approval. First of all, from May 12th, did everybody get the minutes from May the 12th?
Yes.
Any
Yep.
additions or corrections?
I think I made a correction, but I think it's the other
I
one.
think you did. Okay.
It wasn't me.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes from May 12th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same thing, June 9th. Everyone got the meetings from June 9th? Any comments or questions? Okay. Motion to accept the minutes for June 9th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have two written decisions tonight. The first one is for 36 Windmill Lane. And I will send that over to Alice to top line.
There is no written decision because that is not in the historic district.
Okay.
I don't know why that's
Why
on
is it
there.
on here? Okay. That one we approved. Then the other one would be 136 Great Plains Road.
Yep. This was a certificate of appropriateness to construct a detached garage, which the board found favorable.
Okay. Did everybody receive the written decision? Have a chance to read it? Any comments or corrections? Okay, so motion to accept the written decision for 136 Great Plains Road as written. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have two adjournment requests. One was approved last week, last meeting, which is 25 Windmill Lane. So tonight, motion to approve the adjournment request for 140 Potato Field Lane to September 8th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so then we're going to move on to sign permits, my favorite topic. Okay. The first one is someone here from Lake Pajamas?
Lake
Pajamas.
Pajamas? Huh? It's a store evidently called Lake Pajamas.
Love
What's
it.
it look like?
Love pajamas.
Do we have that one still out over there? So
Oh, is this screen still out? Yeah.
I might move over because it's
Oh,
really,
yeah, come on.
Okay,
We're nice over here.
so I don't know what we're looking at. actually.
Okay.
It's dark. Oh, here.
It's really simple, right? So we're just gonna put the link on each window. And the hours are actually gonna go on the side window here,
Okay.
right here.
And there's-
and what
Is there an
co-
overhead sign?
Nope, it's
No.
just on the window. I think it's is
Just
it?
the window.
It's impossible.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
And what color's the vinyl?
It's,
Is it white?
White?
yes.
Okay.
but where does it say pajamas? I only
It
saw
doesn't.
lake.
It just says
It
lake,
says
right?
lake.
It just says lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And
I
you're
was
supposed to
wondering if I
guess
was
there's
missing
pajamas in
I
there?
was too.
Okay.
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 We
It's
okay?
not our job.
All right. So motion to approve the lake sign from drawings submitted June 16th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are you also Hampton's Biomed?
I am.
Okay, Hampton's Biomed.
That's pretty.
It's gonna be a freestanding sign,
Okay.
8-foot post, 6 feet in the ground, or 2 feet in the ground, 6 coming to the top. Double-sided sign with 2 riders.
It's so far away.
And then here's the colors.
Yep.
So you can see the actual colors.
Here was my one comment, which is why it came to the board. If you go down that section of Hampton Road, and you go from the new Lagaloo, which we're very happy to have, and you go to the funeral home, and you go to the other businesses, all the signs down that street have a north-south arrangement, and this one is east-west. Therefore, it looks atypical for that section of the village. So the sign itself, I don't really object to. What I prefer is the orientation instead of
angle?
facing the street to go north-south instead
Yeah,
of
it's
east-west.
double-sided, it would make more sense anyways.
Yes, and that way you could read it coming in the traffic.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's one question I had. And then you guys, any other questions about the sign itself?
The sign itself is what color? It almost looks like the sign is black.
Is
But
it?
it's the colors they use.
The sign is black and those are the font colors?
Correct.
Here we go.
These are them, right?
Navy?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is black and blue.
that's the letters.
It hardly shows out.
It hardly does, but
It's
that's.
fine. It's some.
But what's the
This is
teal?
the color of the bottom sign, the letters.
And what's that other part?
This is the brown that the Hampton Biomeds will be using, the letter.
Oh,
Actually, when we had the signs, down all three of them right next to the, market, we had them use the same font for all three signs. Is that the same font for the two bottoms?
I don't
It
know
looks
that I
like
did
it,
the other
yeah.
two signs.
It's hard to tell.
I have no idea, but it's not a bad, I mean, the actual font is pretty
Yeah, it's
easy to
fine.
read.
I was just, I was curious when I did see it. I was curious whether.
So some of the words, like bio is blue and med is whatever we're calling it.
It's
Is that
the-
gold?
it's
What
the-
is that?
No, it's brown.
It's brown.
Okay.
Sand, I don't know. I don't have do you have an objection?
No, I think it's good.
Okay, here we go.
My
You guys
only
can-
question is, can you change the orientation from
Absolutely.
east-west to
Yeah.
north-south?
I think you pick up the.
Yeah, well, it should go this way. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Motion to approve then the sign for Hampton's Biomed from drawings dated June 16th with the stipulation that we change the orientation from east-west to north-south. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have another one, or was that
No,
it tonight?
that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Wells Fargo?
And Wells Fargo. Someone's coming in by Zoom, I think.
Yes, I do think, they have some stuff on the windows. Oh, they have all kinds of things.
Is someone coming in?
Yeah.
Great.
Why is that so dark? What's that? What's that?
Yeah.
One, two.
Hello? Good evening. Alice Keenan, are you coming in?
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes, there you are, yes.
I am sorry, it took a second for me to convert it. So, yes, I'm going to go over the plans for Wells Fargo for Southampton.
Right?
Okay.
And you guys have the plans in front of you.
I don't.
We do you have them? Can you put them up?
Yes, give me a second. All right.
Thought we already approved this.
I went in today after I,
Pro or details.
Yeah?
because I was concerned that this is red and then this is black, so I was very confused. So I went in to see it in person, and it's an 11-page thing, and they're just asking for different things, and we already approved.
Well, I don't want to
Okay,
do
well,
that.
well, let her come up and tell us what she's asking for, and then
Well, they already. Why are they?
Are you
doing that?
sharing?
I am sharing. Give me 1 second.
Great, thank you.
So this sign plan, can you guys see?
Yes.
All right. So we're requesting, actually, 2 wall signs. So on this front, elevation of channel letters. And we have another elevation, wall sign, for NE02, another set of channel letters. And they're black channel letters.
Where is this?
And then, go ahead.
Where on the building are we talking about?
So can you see here?
No.
So there's,
Uh,
are you able to see it?
Can you
The-
zoom in, please?
Yes.
I guess the question is, you know, there were the sets of letters that we approved that are over the door.
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking for additional beyond that?
No.
So you're asking for the letters that are below the light fixtures
Yes.
over the front door?
Over the front door,
And is that-
below the light fixtures. Yes.
Is that different than what we already approved?
So this was already approved. However, we were told that we had to go back in because there was a revision that needed to be done.
What did you revise?
So we needed to get the window temporary signs, decals permitted. And so while we were in the process of getting that done, we were told that we need to go ahead and this was approved originally, but we had to go through it again because there was a revision.
What is the revision? I'm confused.
I'm not sure. So my understanding when this was already approved.
Right.
However, when we were trying to get the temp decal signs, we were told we wanted to move forward with getting their approval for the signage that already went through this. And we were told that we have to go through this meeting again, the hearing again for that. So, my apologies for any confusion. I'm actually showed up as a representative. I wasn't the original person who
Okay.
submitted this.
Well-
Who told whom?
Okay. Here's what I think, and maybe I'm crazy, but here's what I think. On this page, which doesn't seem to have a number, you're asking for an additional sign, a window sign that says that you're a Wells Fargo Premier Bank.
So not with this one, because I believe this one didn't require, sorry, I'm scrolling down to what
Yeah.
you're saying, the Premier Bank.
Yeah, that page.
Yes, so my understanding is the square footage that we had for this did not need to be permitted.
Okay.
There's another, I'm sorry, it's on here, sorry, I keep scrolling, but it is temporary window sign decal that's on the window, and I have to find it. And that's what we needed to get permits on.
That said open now? What are we talking about? Is that what you're talking about?
It's not the open now, I'm sorry, I don't
Okay,
even know.
well.
Oh, it's all the way down here, I'm sorry, I didn't scroll far enough. Here we go. It is here we go. It's the get the 325 checking bonus, so it's the bonus decals. And there's 2 bonus decals that we were like permits on, and these are temporary decals.
Oh, I think those violate village code because I think they're too large for the amount of glass that they're sitting on.
Okay.
So I think we're back to the Wells Fargo signs that we originally approved that are over the doors, that are the black letters, the pin-mounted letters under the lighting. Those are all fine. These temporary decals, there's a maximum amount of window coverage by village code, and that would be determined by the building department, but I believe these are too big. The other question you had, which is there is apparently a Wells Fargo Premier plaque that goes in one of the
Yes.
windows. That
Yes.
seems to be, size-wise, that seems to be fine, but I think if the building department's telling you don't need a permit for it,
Yeah. That is, our understanding is that per code, because of the size of it, that does not require permit.
okay. I don't know that that's correct, but I don't think anybody has a problem with the Premier sign. Let's ask, but just in case you do, so you don't have to come back again.
Yeah.
The Premier side, which is this. Here's the scale on it.
It's,
It's that scale.
It's this one right here.
okay. I'm not in love with any, I like it clean. It's okay, but no more. There's a lot, we already went through that, it was way too busy, busy before, I believe. So, okay, but I don't think we
okay.
should decorate the entire
So,
building.
no, I don't think so either. I think the 2 temporary signs you're asking for are too big to building codes. So you have to go back to the building department on that. I think if
Okay.
what you're looking for is a reapproval on the already approved Wells Fargo sign that are over the doors, and you want to add the Premier sign, just to
Yes.
make sure that you can move forward, that I'm just going to motion to reapprove the black pin-mounted Wells Fargo sign over the north, west, east-facing and south-facing facades that were originally approved, and an approval for the Wells Fargo Premier to the size indicated on drawings submitted to the building department on June 18th.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to, we have a demo eval for 276 Hill Street, but I don't believe we've received the historic.
It's not a
Report.
demo evaluation. Neither of these are demo evaluations.
Okay,
What are they?
They're both historic applications.
Oh,
Okay,
gotcha.
So you should go to 88 Gin Lane.
okay. Okay, so, okay. So then we are going to go to 88 Gin Lane. And to mark this, these go back to the building department?
No, they're listed also as historic matters, so you should just do them in that order on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So that's the proper order.
Welcome back.
I'm confused.
You want me to sit?
Yeah,
Please.
because we
We
need
can
Yeah.
hear you
to
better.
those microphones. Both
Especially,
of you.
especially in this important house.
Yeah, this is,
Okay, this is, just to recall it, this is 88 Gin Lane, which is a certificate of, to relocate an existing structure, construct additions, a detached garage, and renovations. And you were
Right.
going to look at
We
there was a question over a dormer?
Right, exactly.
Okay,
The objective to make the dormer
oh, that's,
a little quieter and less invasive to the visual symmetry from the east and west. I don't know.
Sage, is there a way to make, that screen is so dark. Do you have any control over the contrast? Thank you. Because who knows what it looks like. Well, it got darker, so maybe the other direction.
okay.
Oh, there we go.
Here it is.
Oh, my goodness, that's better. Oh, Sage. That's, we're getting somewhere.
Yes, this is the before.
That's pretty good. Good enough. Thank you. Much better, right? Okay.
Much better, you can see it.
What
page
are we on?
Oh.
Well, we're
No,
showing
it's
you
not.
the before.
Oh,
Just to refresh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that helpful?
sorry.
I thought maybe before, just
Yes.
quickly might be helpful.
And just because I don't remember, you did introduce yourself
Tim Haynes,
Yes.
architect for the client.
for the record.
Yeah.
And I'm John Bennett.
Yes.
good. Okay.
You may
'Cause
not know him.
they're doing the notes remotely, so I just want to.
And,
Okay,
Mary Catherine Naval, the client, is with us as well.
welcome back.
Okay.
So to refresh your memory, we had the three hipped dormers interrupting the roof that were
This one.
here protruding from that roof substantially. And so after studying it, I'll go back to these drawings, perhaps are the easier. What we did was we pushed the dormer, the three windows together, moving them further away from both the east and the west elevations, and we submerged them into a recess in the roof. So and we switched to a shed dormer, so that you had sort of no visible roof hood on those dormers. So if you look up at the top,
We,
can you?
can you just shoot,
Oh,
there we
sorry.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the new proposed dormer. It's hard to look and point
There you go.
up here. So it's very nominally coming out of that roof by comparison to the other, and pushed back so that it does not, let's see if this, it does not extend, it aligns with that gable end on the eastern side of the building.
What page are you on?
302?
I'll look through all your pages here. I can't
It's
find
bubbled.
It's bubbled in red, I think, on the submitted plans. I think so.
You can go ahead, though. Okay.
Oh,
Oh gosh, bigger?
Yeah.
that would be great.
Bigger is better?
Bigger's always
because-
better.
Yeah, it's hard
I
to
mean,
see.
honestly, we're down to
Do you have that
the
page?
crunch, you know, it's.
We got it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Oh,
Go. I'll just share.
We'll have it on the screen now.
Okay.
I think it's important to get the
They just get big.
which we struggle with.
Should we fold it back maybe? So, I don't know if pick this up?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Much better.
Oh, my God, that's so much better.
You want to come down, don't you? The part foremost. Okay.
At least
Better?
for the-
Oh,
I just
yeah.
want to see how this, you see how that disappears from the prior iteration. And how this is,
Right. And obviously, in elevation, it's collapsed. It's set back over 40 feet from the western elevation.
Yeah. Board members, comments?
I think that's a good improvement. I think it's good.
thank you.
I like
It's
the,
a lot quieter.
recessing it. It seems to also really go with the architecture too.
Right. I would,
It seems pretty complete now, I feel like, not dangling modifier type thing.
well, they're not objectified anymore. They're sort of more like the roof has just opened up and
Yeah,
allowed some light.
it's a big
in.
thing, big
Yeah.
building. Complicated.
I think it was a good comment
Thank you.
and an improvement.
Need any comment?
No comment. I think it looks good.
Yeah, what I objected to last time was that beautiful symmetry was so interrupted, and I think this calmer, quieter manner brings us back to the original intention of the original architecture, which is what you're saving, which is the important building. I think it works
Now
very
it's just
well.
a little eyelash,
Yeah,
as it
it-
were, as opposed
yeah,
to
It doesn't pull its focus so far forward. I think it's a good improvement. Are there any comments from the public? Did you want to come in?
I wanted to say thank you because we like it better too.
Okay, thank you. With that, then, I'm going to move to written decision to approve the application for 88 Gin Lane based on drawings dated. What's your drawing date? What's your drawing date?
I was looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get it out.
The 12th? No.
What's the date on your drawings?
the revision 6/23/25.
Okay, based on drawings dated 6/23/25. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Wow.
First of all, thank you.
Yeah.
I think it is an improvement. I think it preserved that little part of the house. And thank you for the work that you're doing on this
Everything.
spectacular barn. Thank you.
Good luck with this.
Okay.
It'll
Okay,
be
so-
wonderful.
It will be. Thank
will
you.
be.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to historic carryover matters, now to new matters versus 276 Hill Street for a COA to demolish a single-story residence and detached garage and construct a two-story residence. Do you have affidavits, and are they in order?
So this is a carryover. We got them last time, so yeah, we're all good.
Okay, and we're still waiting on the historic report.
Yep.
Okay? Hello?
Hello?
So you have to introduce.
Just start by introducing yourselves, that'd be
Okay.
great.
My name is Richard Sammons. I'm the architect,
Okay.
Fairfax and Sammons Architects. This is the client.
Hi, I'm Ann Prosser.
Hello,
and
Ann
my
Prosser.
husband, hello. My husband and I own this house.
Okay?
Okay. And I haven't done this particular deal before, so I think I'm in the right spot.
Yes,
Good.
it's right over there, so yes.
Lovely. Just go ahead with the description of the house, or?
Whatever you.
If you would, I know the one thing we have, because it's in the historic district, we've asked for a historic report on the house, which I don't think we've received from our historic consultant yet. So that's a piece that's outstanding.
Okay.
And
But we
from what
can-
my understanding today at the building department, you're not demolishing the house. The house is being moved. Is that correct?
I received an email that the Shinnecock Indian Reservation would like it. I don't know that much about it.
Oh, they're gonna donate it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the
that might
house-
involve
Maybe. Okay, I
taking all
hear you.
our
Okay,
equipment
so
down.
the house
I
that's
gotta-
there now, you are not,
We're not, it's a new
Okay,
house.
good.
Brand new
Clarify.
house. And
But by structure of that, even if you plan to donate it,
we still,
it's a
what you
new
would do,
house.
or if that's something that could happen, what I would suggest is now you go through us, because one way or other, the house is not going to be on that property. So we'll get the historic report on it, but you'd want a demo eval on the house. So if something should happen to that, there's not a step you would need to come back to.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
yeah.
but we'd like to have the approval for the new house.
Okay.
Okay, great. So it's approximately 3,100 square feet, give or take, and overall, it's, 30, the maximum allowable is 3696, and we are at 3144. There's an existing pool house that was constructed 2 years ago, and the main house is more or less where the existing house is, and conforms to all setbacks. The setback, the lot itself is narrow, being only 85 feet wide, and is a parallelogram, so it actually gets skinnier as it goes back, so it's a bit of a trick trying to wedge it in. So that's a site plan.
Was that determined by setbacks?
It's, no, it's, the lot itself is a parallelogram.
Oh, I see.
And so this is the existing house. It's a post-war, single-story ranch house with a kind of an off-center porch on the front and a wing to the back. You wait your historical report for that. The proposed structure is a two-story federal style house with 6/6 windows above and below, and Metape windows in the frieze. A low-pitched roof with a lunette window. It's constructed of clapboard and flush board and shingle on the back sides. There's a comparison of the existing house and the main house, of the new house. You can see that the new house being 2 stories is not significantly larger than the old house. This is the basement plan.
We
don't
only
do
need to
that.
look at the exterior plans.
Okay. Well, why don't we skip to the front elevation, which I have at a larger scale.
What page are we going to, please?
Let's go to page 200.
Yep.
Okay. This is the front and rear elevations. There's a side wing. The side wing is with a hip roof to avoid the pyramid rule. And there is a small side porch to that side on the front elevation. The rear elevation has a wraparound porch with a standing seam.
Let's stand the front of elevation just for a second here. So
Okay, but you had a
you've
bigger one
got,
then.
you've
Why
got,
don't we look at
it's
that one then?
on page 200, so it's part shingle and part clapboard or
The-
board?
It's flush board on the main facade,
Okay,
and it goes to shingle as is traditional on the sides and back.
okay.
Oh,
It has, go ahead.
Can I just interrupt really quick? We may decide to do the whole thing in shingle. Is that very big deal for you?
well, once you decide, then that's the thing we need to know.
Yes. Well, I think that,
Okay.
I think
Well,
that
we'll go with you.
traditionally you have a more, formal front facade, and the shingles are used on the back sides.
Okay.
If we want to amend it to all shingle, we will come back to you.
Yes.
Okay.
The form of the house nevertheless doesn't change. This is a blow-up of the front facade, and with the sort of Adamesque frontispiece. It's a leaded glass fan light window, and 6-panel door with broad. Oh, they can read sideways. That's good. And the section of the 2x6 structure with a 2x inner liner. So it's a well-insulated house. The full-size details are also on this sheet. So the main cornice being here, the architrave, the frieze, and the cornice. The cornice has mutuals in the Doric order, but again in the Adamesque federal manner. These things are all attenuated and lightened. Now back to the small scale. It's a brick chimney. This is the east elevation. And those 3 windows there are in the kitchen. And the west elevation, those 3 windows are in the living room, and they are exactly opposite the 3 in the kitchen. So you have a enfilade going through those 2 rooms. And the corner pilasters on 4 sides. And this is showing the shingles with the, against the formality of the corner pilaster. So it's a very simple house.
And take us through color.
Well, it's essentially the natural shingle,
Okay.
and with a white, lead white, painted front facade, and the same paint on the trim. If you want a color sample, I could say it's OW18, which would be linen white.
And the shutters.
Shutters are dark green,
Okay.
bottle green.
Benjamin
It would be it would be Fine Paints of Europe, coach green,
Okay.
which is bottle green.
And are the shutters operable?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And are there any exterior light fixtures on this house?
There are. It's going to be on the side and porches, it'll be a Nantucket type onion light, if you're familiar with those. On the main front, we have not decided yet on the front door light.
And there'll be a hanging fixture over underneath the.
No, it would be
Yeah,
a hanging
be
fixture
surface
inside
mounted?
the fan light, but it'd be a wall-mounted fixture
Okay.
to the window side of the door
Okay.
at 6'6" or 6'8" exterior.
Okay.
So right there.
Okay. And then the roof is standing seam. Is that a aluminum standing seam, or you're going with
It's a
copper?
Galvalume.
You're going with galvalume. Okay. And color.
That's Freedom Gray.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
the
then
entire roof
the
is
main roofs
metal?
are
No,
cedar
just
shingles.
this
there.
these peplum
Yeah.
roofs here.
That's just the lower roofs.
And what's the
The low
lower part?
sloped roofs are
Yeah.
the
Well, the other
Freedom
roof
Gray.
is shingle.
It's shingled?
The other roof, the regular roof is shingle, correct?
Regular roof is
Yeah.
a red cedar.
Okay.
So that it'll blend in gray.
It'll turn very dull gray.
Board members, questions, comments?
Gorgeous house.
Thank
Fits in
you.
the neighborhood, harmonious. I have no objections to it.
Hopefully that's the idea. It's trying to fit right in.
I actually think it's a little fancy, but I'm in the minority here.
It may look fancier on the,
I don't know that you're in the minority.
Oh, okay, well, I feel it's a little fancy. I think it's beautiful, but I think it's just a little fancy for where it is, which is kind of important,
well, I've been looking at the Southampton Club and the Colonial
Yeah,
Revivals on
I'm
that
looking at
street.
Hill Street.
Yeah.
Oh, the Southampton Club. It's
Yeah.
not that fancy.
It is. It's very similar in detail.
to my neighbors on either side.
Well, I disagree. How's that?
My only comment, and it's not a deal breaker comment, but in that section of the front facade and going from the board into the shingle gives it a little more formal, almost townhouse appearance, and it's a little more formal than the houses are in that area. It's not a deal breaker, but to me, if in the entire house were shingle, it'd be a little more relaxed and a little more sort of harmonious to that section of Hill Street that it's in. But it's not a deal killer for me. That it's an opinion.
The client is on the fence about wanting to do that. We'd be happy to do it in shingle.
Well, I don't want to force you to do it. That's my.
No, I was
that's my
actually,
opinion,
I was pushing
actually.
for it to be a little more formal because it's in town versus,
But
but
it's shingle on the back.
shingle on all the other sides. If you think about, what,
Yeah.
I was viewing this as an in-town house.
Right.
And,
But you're not technically in town because you're sort of downhill street. That's my appointment. I think what you're hearing from Susan is sort of the same feeling that it's feeling very formal, almost townhouse-ish in a section that's not actually in town.
So it's like
So if it were all
farmhouse.
but
shingle,
the Stanford White House
if it were
across
all-
the street,
if it-
I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of,
but those are
They're small.
different
There are
houses on bigger
bungalows
lots.
and
But
then farmhouses that have become
yeah,
well, this is a lot like a farmhouse.
not really.
Well,
it's a
from
little
Ohio,
it's a little
front
formal.
facade
Yeah,
has what he's saying,
yeah.
a very sort of city, townified,
Yeah, I would
town-like.
say like southern,
Yes.
federal,
Yeah.
That's correct.
There are a few,
a little more.
there are a few federal homes on Hill
Yes,
Street.
they're just
so it
not
seems-
right
But
there.
they seem to have on very large properties sometimes. This is my,
We're
that's
happy
my
to make it
opinion when I
shingle.
look at it. That's what I read when I see it.
If you'd like to have it shingle, I'd be happy to make it shingle.
Let me ask this, what would you like?
I actually kind of like the picture he sent me with the flats. I just didn't know the whole, I wanted to check the whole house. The back three are all shingle.
Yeah, it's just the
It's
very
just the
front.
front.
facade.
It's got
I like
it's got a
the-
formal facade, and then the house
Yeah.
looks a little more casual as you go around it because it's
Kinda
shingled.
like-
Because it's
I kinda
shingled.
like what he came up with for the.
And it's, the boards are gapped and it's not a, I could agree with you if it were in brick or in stucco or something like that, but it's a wooden house with a,
It's
you know.
it's dressy is what I think it is,
Yeah.
the front.
it's dressy. You're in town.
I think it's a little dressier than that neighborhood, but
Yeah.
it's not a deal killer for me, but that's my opinion on. Let's go for this. Is there any comments from the public?
Oh, God, such a busy.
Okay.
So how are we going to do this?
Well, we're going to vote on it.
Okay.
No, we're not.
We're going to
What?
have a written.
We have to do the demo.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, we can't vote on it tonight anyway, because until we have the demo, we
Oh, the
can't.
historic.
Until we get the historic report, we can't vote on the demo.
Okay.
So we can sort of give you directionally what we think, but we actually can't vote on it until such time as we have the historic report, because you're in the historic district. So we should have that.
By the 14th of July, you mean?
Before the 14th of July meeting, so we'll be able to vote on it then. So you actually have 2 weeks to think about it, about that shingle wall. The one thing I would ask is, before we get finished, if you could also actually draw in where the surface mounted fixtures are going,
Okay.
and also supply us a
It's-
cut sheet
Yes.
and supply us a cut sheet of light, so we know that it's dark sky compliant.
And maybe some trees, if there are some existing trees, we just know how they are in proportion with the house.
A landscape plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We have a site plan, yes.
More trees, the better, in my opinion.
We
Since we're
agree.
done.
We agree,
Especially because of the
Yeah.
traffic noise.
especially
I was
where you
thinking
are.
Already
helpful in an
planted 2
elevation
oaks
for
in
a
the
tree
back.
for scale.
All right, so it seems to me you need to adjourn until the 14th. We should have the historic report by then. At that point, we should be in a position where we can vote.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you very much. And you can think about shingles and just bring us the light
We'll have a
fixtures.
chat.
Okay. Motion to adjourn 276 Hill Street to July 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that takes us to...
310.
That takes us to 310 First Neck Lane.
Is there anyone here?
Was it-
I think he's on Zoom.
On Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened to the AC?
Controls right there.
That's right next to me. It's a.
You can grab it with...
Hi.
Hello,
John
if you could
Carter.
introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is John Tarbett. I'm from Tarbett and Leicester in East Hampton, and I'm representing the applicant.
Okay.
First next.
Okay.
I could just start by, I know the board is familiar with the area, but this is the house is there now, in its relationship to the other properties and the lake. This is.
Hang on one second. I think you
Are
think
you
you're
screen
sharing.
sharing?
Sorry. Oh, sorry, I didn't share my screen.
By the way, we have John's affidavits and they're in order.
Okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
good.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I guess I'll do it like this. Share this first. So that's the existing house that's there now. It was built in the probably early 1970s, and we are seeking permission to tear this house down. And then let me share with you. So the property is a little over 5 acres in size. It's about 800 feet from the first neck, and about 1,000 feet as a crow flies to the nearest house across the lake. Here we go. Okay, so
So all the landscaping has been cut, is that right?
correct. Well, you're saying, sorry, the existing landscaping has been cut down, you said?
Looked like it to me today.
Okay, I
Do
didn't
you
know
know
that.
anything
Oh,
about it? Okay.
sorry. I didn't mean to say that the architect would normally be here. He's quite sick and was unable to attend tonight, so we decided to go on and get some comments from the board. But unfortunately, I probably can't answer.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It did look like they were starting to clear,
No, the whole thing was.
yeah, to get ready for demolition, but okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. So a shingle style house. The property it's about a 9,000 square foot. 11,000 square foot proposed house, where 18,000 square feet would be allowed. The property is pretty narrow, so a majority of the house is. If you were looking at the house from the lake, a majority of the house you would not see. It kind of works its way away from the lake. It's longer than it is wide, and that's based on the shape of the property. It is proposed to be a white shingle, white painted shingle, and on the siding, and a shingle roof. The elevations are. I'm sharing my screen right now, so hopefully you see the elevations. It also, right now, the house is a little bit askew with the property line. It faces a little bit south. They're proposing to move the house back. The new house will be moved back and kind of straightened on the property. It's about 200 linear feet from the edge of the property, from the wetlands or the lake. That's the proposed. Right now, it's a little closer than that. I guess if the board has any other questions, I can try to answer.
Do you want to take us through the elevations?
Sure.
Any thoughts on the demo, or are you asking for a historic report?
Board members?
I'm no expert.
You don't need to vote on it at this point.
But
I
it
just
certainly
wanted
did not
to.
appear to be anything historic. And
There is a report, Alice, and maybe that's not.
Yes, but it's not,
confirmed.
it's by someone who wrote that.
We
Ellie
took
Fisher.
that. I think Alex wrote it originally, or somebody at the village wrote it originally. Originally, we reproduced it in our memo, but we were provided that from
Alex
from the village.
Wallach wrote it?
It could either him or somebody else at the village provided that to us, but maybe that's not what you're looking for as far as an official report from the village.
Well, it's important to know where it came from to actually believe it, would you think?
Well, it came from the village, and
Yes, this says Alex. By the way, this is what I was talking about.
Yep.
Uh-huh,
Can I see it?
yeah, at the bottom of the page, and keep going.
Well, board members, the question comes, is this house, do you want a historic report on it, or are you okay?
I'm willing to forego it.
I'm personally, given the build here and going and looking at the house, I don't think there's anything, and from what I've read, I don't find anything here that I would consider to be historic.
When you get close to it, that looks good.
Yeah.
It's
I would
incredible.
concur that it does not,
It looks sort of like a film set.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
not
from
seem to
a
be in
distance,
any
it
way
looked
historic.
okay.
Okay.
If it was built in the 70s, yeah.
Oh,
I would
you
say
should
so.
go look at it. It's pretty incredible, actually.
Interestingly, the property was
Uh-huh.
originally developed in the 1800s. It just,
The
unfortunately.
property, not the house, right?
Yeah, the
Well, we don't,
the
we're
historic homes-
interested in the house.
So the gist of the information provided was that there was perhaps a historic house on the property previously, but this is not it, and
This
that
is
house
not
has
it.
been
This
lost.
That house has
If you
been,
get up
and this
close,
house had
you
a
will
build
see
year
it.
of 1971.
Yeah, I just wanted to
It
get that
really
information on the
does.
record rather
Yeah.
than dancing around it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do
Okay.
we have photos of it?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I
the
mean,
other
the
house? Oh, no, I don't know.
1800s.
No one presented it. Doesn't matter.
No, it was gone off the maps before this
Oh.
house was built.
All right, so I'm going to motion to, we're in historic district, so what do I need? I need a certificate a certificate to approve the demolition?
You don't need a separate one, so we can keep going with the review. I just wanted to get a sense that the board wasn't asking for a historic
we're not asking for
report
historic.
and that you were okay with the demolition so that you could start to entertain the new house.
Okay. Okay. Continue on.
Okay, so there's a site plan, which I think I'm sharing my screen right now, showing just the orientation of the proposed new house. It should actually, you may not be able to see it, but it does show the existing house versus the new proposed house and its orientation on the property.
I don't see that. Yeah, this is it.
Oh, proposed.
Okay.
And then there's there's just floors and elevations. These are the floor plans. We did submit these. And,
Yeah, you can go to page 3.1.
yeah. This is probably, yeah, 3.1.
There we are.
Yep.
Okay.
This would be both views, actually, from when you would pull up to the house and walk in the front door, as well as from the elevation from the lake. There's a second-story deck which extends about 16 feet out from the house, and that's in the center. Or covered deck, covered porch, covered second-story deck.
Is that deck enclosed?
Not enclosed, open air, open
Yeah.
air. Yeah,
So it's
just
not
the
it's
rail.
not screened or anything?
No, definitely
Okay.
not. No.
And it's 16 feet deep?
It's 16 feet deep, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I apologize, I'm not the architect, so I'm
No,
doing
it's
my
okay.
best.
All right, and then the elevation below that is the side view, right?
It's a side view, and it actually, this probably demonstrates the fact that the majority of the house, this actually does a good job, this picture right here, I've shown the majority of the house is actually behind what anybody would see in the public, because again, you're 900 feet from First Neck, and the lot's narrow, so that the house sort of is hidden behind itself from any public viewing point. Although it is a relatively large house at 11,000 square feet. It's a lot smaller than what could be built there, and that's just based on the lot size as being over 5 acres.
So, but can it be seen from a lake and across the lake?
Yes, well, majority of the house you would not be able to see. So the portion of the house, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. This is the portion of the house that you would see.
The back terrace,
From the
the terrace
lake.
section faces the lake, apparently.
Okay.
This portion of the house would
It's
not,
right
and I don't
here,
think you probably see anything from First Neck.
It's way back.
Sorry, I missed it.
It's way back off the road. But there's a
Yeah,
house,
you're not, I don't think you'll have any view
there's a
from
house
First.
to the north that's,
Okay.
of the current building that's tight. I don't see on these, I can't get the orientation of the neighbor house.
Can you see my screen now with the?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of dark. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be.
so there's a big white house, see that?
See if there's a different angle there. To the north, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, uh-huh.
I was surprised how close that was, but are we putting this house right where the other house was?
This new house is slightly behind the existing house that's there now, so it's further
So
from
it
the
is
lake.
close.
It's further from the lake. Yeah. It does meet all setbacks. There's not gonna be any variance requested for the house.
And then you have a series of
Renderings.
renderings.
Yeah. So then, different elevations. Cross sections. And then these are the, so on the very top here, this would be the view when you walk in the house. The gazebo to the right of it. And then this is another angle, and then to the bottom right of this picture, which if I go a little further down, this is the actual view from the lake. Although again, it would be 200 feet from the lake and 1,000 feet across from any house on the other side of the lake.
Okay, and can you take us through the materials? The house is,
Well, it's a painted white shingle, and it's going to be a shingle roof.
okay.
Not sure if that's information.
It looks like is there copper gutters on the house?
That black on this angle right here, that's a copper gutter.
Okay.
There's also, I believe, some white gutters in different sections.
Okay.
But the view from the lake would be a copper gutter on top.
Okay. Board members, comments? Jane?
If I'm reading the rendering correctly, it looks like it's straight through with glass on both sides. And that just
The
seems to be.
center of the house.
Yeah, that seems to be very glaringly, too much of a ratio of glass, wall to glass. And, also for the people across the lake, that's going to be, maybe a bit too lit up. So that's my initial
A
reaction.
lot of light
to-
at night, too.
Yeah.
I would say that,
Can you pull the mic closer to me?
sorry, I would say that the original home has 7 windows and this one has 18 on the front facade. And I think all that glass would make sense if it was for energy purpose of getting southern solar passive heat gain, for example. But the fact that there's also glass in the back does not make sense from an aesthetic or energy perspective. I would just ask that you consider the history of the site and the house that was there originally, and maybe reduce the amount of glass and windows and the repetitiveness of the eyelets and the maybe vary the, I appreciate the symmetry, but maybe vary some of the architectural language so that it's not so serial. Like all the eyelets, 7 of them in a row, I've never seen eyelets used that way in a row like that. It sort of makes it resemble more like a spa or a hotel than a home. I understand this is not seen by the street, but I would just ask, maybe mention to the architect that he could look at the original sort of historical site.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of those comments because, first of all, the front door is not particularly defined. And then the see-through center is just too much light. And I'm also going to want to see a nighttime rendering of what this house looks like fully lit from the other side of Lake Agawam to see what effect it would have on the other neighbors. I agree completely that the eyelet windows in a row is something we've never seen. And it almost looks like a conceit that's not working. I think there's another, I know you're looking to get higher light into a room. I think there's other methods that aren't quite as almost precious as that use of windows, which is very unusual. I think all the way around, the amount of glass through the center portion of the house needs to come down so we don't see nearly as much reflection. I know you're way back from the street and you're way back from the lake, but I think the possibility of being a loud light box to people on the other side of the lake exists, so we will want to see that rendering. I'm going to assume that all the lighting that's in the 16-foot second floor balcony is ceiling mounted. There's no surface mounted lights along the back. We need to know if there are going to be any surface mounted lights and what they look like. It's a big house. I think if you pull it back a little bit in those areas, I think it'll be a little more harmonious to that sort of section of the village, and also a little more harmonious and friendly to its neighbors, from my perspective.
Even the amount of glass on the sides
Yeah.
I do-
needs to be
yeah.
scaled back, I would think, that.
I think it actually denies a residential feeling,
Yeah.
because I thought you were right. It's like a hotel in Florida or something that didn't get, it's too much,
You're-
it doesn't
yeah.
seem like a house.
You're hearing an overall message that has so much glass that it almost looks commercial.
And there's a monotony too.
Yeah.
My silence is just me listening and taking notes.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I
Well,
have
let's
to-
do this. Are there any comments from the public?
Oh, the usual.
Pardon?
Oh, if you'd like to speak, if
Oh,
you could just
thank
come up and introduce yourself, that would be great.
You can go to this podium if you wish.
Jerry Rosengarten, and you guys are correct.
Okay,
It's too commercial.
thank you.
Thanks.
You've heard the comments, and you're going to take them back to the architect. And the question is, we should probably adjourn you to July 14th, and if he feels he can't be ready by then, we can move it out. But for right now, to be fair to the architect, let's adjourn this to July 14th, if that works for you.
That's great, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so motion to adjourn the application for, where am I at?
310.
For 310 to July, at the applicant's request to July 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye, John.
Bye, Alice.
Okay, so that takes us to public hearings non-historic. The next, 75 Halsey Avenue for construction of a second floor addition, rear deck, and porch to primary residence. Hello? Okay, if you just reintroduce yourself for the record.
My name is Steven Sigamani. I'm an architect from Jason Thomas Architect.
Okay?
Could I just say something before you start?
Absolutely.
Every time, it's impossible, like these pieces of paper, it's very hard to tell what is the project. We have hundreds of pieces of paper. I have admonished you, your company, before. Please mark these things. I marked it. But to just have these things floating around, it doesn't say what you're talking about. And there are
Which
What-
item can I ask? Sorry.
all of this. Here's the first page.
Yeah, that first
What
page
is that
explains
about?
exactly what we're looking at. Those are the comments from last week and the adjustments we made.
I don't know what the comments are, it's, it does say 75 policy at the top, but if you
Okay.
look at these pages, I don't know, there's no designation of what I'm looking at, that's all.
Okay.
We have files, right?
Right?
And so I don't want to have to be looking to see,
Okay.
okay,
Sure
please.
thing. Yeah, you got it.
We have a hard job, it makes it much harder.
Okay, so you want to take us through, you summarized the things from the comments from last time. You want to take us through those and then take us through the changes that you've made? That
Sure.
would be
Yeah,
great.
so some of the comments from last time were the shingles. The board thought that they would prefer natural cedar shingles. The homeowner would like to keep the Maybach pre-dip shingles if possible. It's helping meet the budget goals, and we also think it's consistent with the neighborhood fabric. The second comment was the front door. There was concern that the front door was presenting too contemporary. It was a solid panel with vertical grooves. It kind of looked like it should be a pivot door with a large handle. We're proposing a more traditional front door. We've added glass to the operable panel, which can be seen on the front rendering. On the rear, the large sliders to the backyard, the board thought they were a little bit too large. We've reduced the width of each unit away from the corners, so there's 19 inches total from the start of the slider to the corner, which we thought was appropriate. And finally, the sconces, we've provided the board with a spec for the sconces. They can be seen in the renderings on the pool house. And then, per the board's recommendation, we actually added 2 sconces to the front on either side of the front door, and we removed the recessed lights on that front porch. There was thought that that might help soften the front approach, which we agreed, and we met that recommendation.
Board members.
I think the front door is a huge improvement. With the lights on either side, it softens the whole thing.
Jane?
Yeah, the front door is definitely an improvement. You want to walk us through each change visually up there?
Sure, yeah, so it's on the pool house right now, so the main comment was just that the sconces weren't shown, so we've added the sconces to that rendering. The spec is also provided, and I have it here if you would like to see it. That was the only change on the pool house. If I go to the front door was updated, as we discussed, to be more traditional. Again, we'd like to maintain the gray shingles. I know it wasn't exactly what the board was looking for, but again, for budget reasons, we have a really tight budget we're trying to hit, and that's going to help us. And then the only change on this rear elevation is the sliders. You can see kind of on either side here that there's some shingles. There's 19 inches from the corner to the start of the door. Last time it was expressed that it felt like it was crowding the corners and they were too far spread out, so we reduced the width of each sliding door.
And we don't have page numbers, huh? To make a comparison
From last week.
yeah.
I just have the updated drawings with me.
I appreciate the proportions of the house and the landscaping and the grasscrete. I would maybe, where the cars, add some plantings on that blank wall on the, next to the car. I appreciate the front porch with the swing. I think that's a really friendly neighborhood. Historical, friendly house by the road approach. I would say the one thing that, I know that the front door has greatly improved. I would just say, if you're gonna make a statement with the front door, maybe paint it red or something. They say this is the entry, it's red or something fun, because the black sort of looks almost like it's a mismatch from the white trim.
Okay.
But that's a personal choice, so, but I would say otherwise it's great.
Understood.
I don't see a big difference in the back from, it looks like there's just a little bit more shingle here than here.
Yeah, my one comment would be, I still think the back, all those big glass doors in the back of the house are too big. And they also don't look like they belong to the rest of the house, because the rest of the house is a very traditional house, and suddenly you have these very big contemporary windows. And you have the same thing on the pool house, where I don't think they're considerably smaller. But I'm just worried about that amount of light in the backyard. And I don't think they're considerably smaller.
No, I don't see.
We definitely purposely kept the front more traditional towards the street to
Right.
meet what was there. The homeowner has a more contemporary feel. They love these large sliders leading to their outdoor covered deck and pool. There is an existing sliding door on the pool house. Our proposed is larger, but again, that's kind of the look that they're looking for their rear yard, which I don't think will be very visible from the street or from.
Well, it's so much light that I'm also concerned about neighbors. It's an awful lot of backlight. This is not a big piece of property, and the
I agree.
houses are close together there, so it just seems like the,
I would only argue, I agree for the pool house. I would argue that that covered porch on that rear deck, I think is about 14 or so feet deep, and I think that would help soften some of the light and block some of that exposure out.
But if it's facing north, it's really not ideal from an energy perspective, because north facing should be as opaque as possible from an energy perspective.
It does meet all the HERS requirements. It's a really insulated, nice, high-end, energy-efficient door. I understand the concern.
At the end of the day, here's what I think you're hearing.
Sure.
I think you're hearing the
I'm just
people who
trying
have to vote
help.
for the House are telling you that they still feel that the windows are too big across the back.
Okay.
And the glass exposure is too large, and the glass exposure of the pool house is a little large. And while I understand they want sliding glass windows, the choice of windows you've made against the rest of the house don't seem to be cohesive with the overall design of the house, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, I understand, and I appreciate your comments. I'm just saying that was done intentionally. If that's not going to be
Yeah.
okay with the board, then
I
guess
think
we
what you're
will-
hearing is,
we will revisit. Okay.
yeah.
The pool house
What-
makes sense with the glass in terms of energy because it's facing south.
But does it make
So
sense
that's-
if you're changing your clothes and there are giant windows? That's the part I never get.
Well, there's no changing room. There's a changing room kind of in the outdoor shower. It's just a powder room and an open living space, so nobody will be getting changed in the pool house.
A
in
living
front.
space or just a seating?
Yeah, there will be a couple of couches and a TV.
It looks like a seating
So,
space.
seating.
Okay.
Are there any comments from the public?
Oh.
All right, so I think you get the point of, just so he goes here with all the information, how are we feeling about the gray versus natural cedar?
That doesn't bother me so much if they reduce the size of the windows, they made it friendlier.
I won't consider it a deal breaker.
Okay, so there's your answer on that. The front door, I think you've gotten
I kind of like
approval for the front door.
We can't tell them, but I thought a bright front door was a kind of great idea.
The rear sliders they're still feeling too big, there's too much light, and the same is true for the pool house. I think the sconces are a good effect, and I think that's where we are.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So, July 14th?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
big gap. Okay, we'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment to July 14th for 75 Halsey Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so that takes us to new matters. The first one is 75 Hetty Creek
What
Lane.
happened to this one?
Oh,
Toilson.
I'm sorry. Did I scoop down?
SGA.
Oh, sorry, I lied. The next was 101 Toilsome Lane for exterior renovations to a primary residence.
And we had issues about the back balcony. I went and looked.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
You could introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Nicole Adams. I'm part of the architectural team for the owners of 101 Toilsome. I'd like to use my screen if that's okay to share.
That'd be great.
All right, just a second. We're back today addressing the rear facade of this non-historic home. We went back to the site to look at the privacy issue and wanting to do these rear balconies. We took some photos from the existing primary bedroom, and then we also made some modifications based on the board's recommendations, I think, or the board's questions. So we went back and from the primary bedroom, the properties to the east, this is a view right from the bedroom where the balcony would be. This is a view directly north, and this is the view to the west. This seems to be the one area where you would be able to see into the neighbor's rear yard. This neighbor, if you can see my drawing here, is part of this property. It's kind of like almost a Z. And it's approximately 250 square feet from where the balcony, this 4-foot balcony is proposed. So what we were hoping to do is still have a balcony, reduce it in size, build planters on the side, reducing it by at least 30 inches on either side, planting boxwoods, and also providing screening. We're working with Charlie Martyr and his team to provide screening along that western neighbor. So along this side. And I think that this, I could probably zoom into that photo for you a little bit. For here.
So, could,
Can you see it?
I went over there,
Mhm.
and I thought on the east side they could see,
All right, let me look.
toward East Hampton.
I think that the east, I believe that this is the east side,
Uh-huh.
I believe. I could be wrong. But I think that's the east side. I actually have some,
But the houses, but it doesn't actually show how, so the existing, how it goes back. You know, these are narrow lots,
so
right?
this, right,
So honestly, I don't,
So this is,
Oh, I'm sorry, that was me. Sorry.
so this is our straight out view. That's their pool house.
yeah, but you can look to the side. I'm sorry. I don't, I actually, and I couldn't trespass too much.
Mhm.
But I could see that these buildings, that the building, what happened there, Sage?
I'm
Oh,
pulling
it's
up
you.
better, to me, I'm pulling up better.
That if you
pictures.
were, if you wanted to, you could look into the other people's backyard, which I think is not a nice thing. And it's not necessary, because these houses, I mean, the nature of that side of the street is very stacked. Little house, right, but they go way back, all the way, a huge section there.
Mhm.
And I can't support, for noise reasons, light, everything, I don't think it's necessary, and I think it's detrimental, and I don't think the other people in that street have that.
So I hear you. This is the view, it doesn't change. This is what they're seeing now from their bedroom. That's
Mhm.
that's where the balcony's going to be. We're standing right at their window. And this, but it's going to actually
Then we're gonna step out the window, go outside.
and there's going to be screening.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna argue, I just don't agree with it, and I wouldn't approve it. It's that simple. I don't think it's acceptable.
Jane?
I'm looking to see the size reduction in comparison to what it was.
Sure.
If you pull something up.
Okay, so this is what's proposed. So we're having planters on either side. We're reducing it probably, that's about 30 inches, 2.5 feet. And
How much in
it
size are
was
you reducing it?
About 5 feet.
Overall, 5.
Overall 5 feet, and this was
Basically,
what
they
it
took
was.
these
It
two
went-
sections.
It went the full
So
way,
it just goes to here now, and there's planters here.
just in front of the windows.
We really haven't reduced the light, the ratio of the glass to the wall. We've just reduced the size of the patio, is that correct?
Well, also the glass, let me just see if I can explain. So this is planter on the side, that's planter on the side, so it's reduced 2.5 feet on either side.
But you didn't change any of the windows on the facade.
The windows did not change.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it still seems like a very large swath of 6 doors or 6 windows there. It just seems like a very large amount of glass.
Facing north.
Yeah. So that would be my
Okay.
comment,
Okay,
that
I didn't know that was.
you've reduced the patio, but the glass is still, seems excessive to me.
The intent was for there to be more of a connection with their rear yard, that it's very long and the house is very dark. So that was,
Would there be if the concern is privacy and light, an option to continue the planting theme across the entire balcony, so it's not glass in front of glass, but the planter continues, so you still get the view
I see what you're saying.
But it's less glass.
But it's less glass. So not the railing situation, but more of a planter situation, more privacy.
And those are glass, that's
And
Yep.
wood.
glass, glass railing.
Glass railing, so that they could get the view
Right.
of into their backyard, but I see what you're saying.
It just seems a little, it doesn't necessarily go with the architectural style to have the glass railing with the rest of the house, if I'm getting the rendering.
Yeah, I think a
Correct.
planter would be, look at that.
So those are my comments.
I think the planter would be a good solution,
Okay.
because I think while they may be able to walk up the window and look out and peer into someone's yard, people generally don't, but when they have a balcony, they go out and stand out on the balcony, and then suddenly we find we have a lot of, intrusion,
Right.
privacy intrusion to other properties, and that's what we look at. So I think the planter might be a solution, because it's going to make the balcony, right now you're 4'11" in depth, it's going to pull the depth in a little bit, and just may want to think about making those sliders just a little smaller.
Okay.
That would be my, because other than that, it's a beautiful house. This is the one area that we just haven't found agreement.
Okay.
Okay? Do you think we?
Yeah, we'll be back.
July, okay.
We'll be back. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment to July 14th for 101 Toilsome Lane. Is there, wait a minute, do I have any comments from the public?
Maybe.
Okay.
thought
Motion
you
to
asked.
accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 101 Toilsome Lane to July 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you then. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to 10 Halsey Street.
In case you could, oh yes, 10 Halsey Street, that's right. This is the one where we did.
Some of the materials came in today, yeah.
Well, here's another problem. Is this Zoom? Okay.
Hello, Brian.
Can you hear me?
We can, if you would introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, I am Brian Brady. I'm the architect for 10 Halsey Street.
Okay.
And allow me to share my screen. Where we left off 2 weeks ago, we had the same issue as your previous applicant with a
See, we're consistent.
balcony off the rear porch. And what I have for you here is some screening. Did any of you get a chance to go over and look at the site?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. So you can see this is the view of the screening that's there. I was not able to get upstairs to take a view, but I've been up there before, and there's really not, you really can't see into any of the neighbors. These are the screening that's there. And what I am proposing now is to reduce the size of the deck that we were planning. This was the size of the deck that was being proposed, and it was 8.6 by 19 feet. It was on the larger side, and now what we're trying to do is basically reduce that to just a small balcony of 5 feet by 11 feet. And the difference in the elevations with the renderings, this is what we are proposing, and this is what we had last time.
Board members, it's balcony night.
Oh.
Brian, correct me, if the property goes down and then dog legs to the left, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah. So when you go down, actually it's their own sight line as you get to the end of the lot and look to the left, correct?
Yeah, it's all just vegetation, really.
Yeah. Because I did walk back there and take a look as much as I could see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful landscape property.
It's gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah.
To my way of looking at it, for me, I think the reduction is significant, and I think it works better. And I think we've reduced but this one wasn't much of a light as a privacy issue, but I think by making it smaller and pulling it closer to the center, I think it was sort of solved. To me, you've done a good job trying to solve the problem we were discussing at the last meeting.
Yeah, and it's, it's set into the roof. I mean, so there's not a lot of exposure there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it looks quite petite in proportion with the elegant slimness of the house and the vegetation.
I would agree that the changes are a much improved look and much more sensitive to any neighbors that are there.
Do you have any comments from the public?
Yes.
You have to go up.
Lawrence Whitman, 29 Fordham Road, immediately to the east of this property. Do you have my letter, which I sent to the board?
We do.
Which summarizes where we stand as the owners. I think from our deck, we are substantially, the deck on Halsey Lane from our deck is substantially obscured. However, from our primary bedroom, the two windows that face west, you can easily see the deck, however, the balcony, however large it is. And it presents a substantial privacy issue. Someone could be on the deck, and they could see right into our primary bedroom. If you pull the shades down, of course, you can't. But I don't want to live with my shades down all the time.
Okay.
You're welcome, by the way, you are welcome to come to the property and see it yourself.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Brian, do you have any comment about the comments?
I believe what he's talking, if you can see the screen, would be looking back over here. That's where the house is. I don't know if that's his bedroom, but if he has a deck there that he can see in, I've been up into their bedroom, which is right above here, and I couldn't see anything there.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of those unfortunate situations where we try to avoid, but in some of the smaller lots, a situation where you can't see into anywhere is really hard to accomplish, and I get that.
May I just add one comment about, I think that it's a tough situation, but there is a difference between winter and summer, and I think in summer maybe it's not as much of an issue as in winter, so maybe planting some evergreens, that's the only thing I can suggest.
Yeah. These are all arborvitae that are, they grow probably 2 feet a year.
Yep.
And they're year-round.
No, unless we don't really debate, we just listen to your comments, if you would.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Board members, does that change your opinion, or?
Does it change my opinion? No.
Okay. Then I'm going to motion to approve the application for 10 Halsey Street based on drawings submitted on June 23rd. Is there a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay. That's 3-1. Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that takes us down to new matters. The first one is 75 Hetty Creek. Do you have the affidavits, and are they in order?
Yes.
Hello?
Hi. I'm Debbie Paul. I'm the architect for the applicant.
Okay.
I'm going to try sharing my screen as well as doing like a little hybrid presentation. So 75 Hetty Creek is a flag lot off of Hetty Creek. It is constrained by a lot of wetlands, which is why I kind of two reasons I enlarged this. This is the Petty Creek, and essentially the house is built, the existing house was built inside the wetland setback. So there were a couple things. So this is the existing house. I always feel it's good to get a sense of three-dimension.
That's very helpful.
Rendering, but you can see there's a lot of different ins and outs of the existing house. It's also the existing house has been finished. These are cathedral ceilings here. And in order to add on, there's really only two places to go up. We can go forward a little bit, but even coming forward, there's a variance that we have requested, and they haven't, the meeting where they were supposed to write the decision was canceled, so it's in progress. But so the
So wait a minute, so the project as we're looking at tonight would require a variance to build?
Yeah.
today this would not require a variance to build. Actually, part of it would, because it's within this is 150-foot setback, which is you have to, anything forward of that, you would have to get a wetlands permit. So it's currently in part of the setback.
So you need a zoning board of appeal or a?
Are you in front of the ZBA right now?
No, we're done. They
Yes.
just
What
haven't.
happened?
They haven't. Oh, they.
Oh, I see.
We just
But
don't have the.
This is a previous one?
That's
I
a
worked on
previous.
this.
Okay, so
I've
they've
been there and done that one too many times.
so
but
you've
this
been in
has
front of
come up a
ZBA.
lot.
They've
they
approved
just
it, and you're
haven't
waiting, and you're
we're
waiting
waiting
them
on the
to
written
approve the written decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was approved?
Yes.
Okay.
It was. So that was actually a variance for an 11-foot front yard reduction, and we're only asking for 7.5 feet.
Okay.
So it's.
Well, we'll look at it. We'll look at it tonight, but we won't vote on it tonight because we know we
You
need to
need to have the
I need to have
written
the
decision.
ZBA
Okay.
decision in order to actually vote.
We do
on the
have the
project.
written decision for the septic system, but that doesn't affect anything
No, that doesn't affect us.
else
Okay.
for you guys. All right. So the reason I brought this is to illustrate that there really isn't much place to go. And so this is the front view, which is that's the back. This is the front. And so because of the wetlands, line of the wetlands, really the only place to add on, because these are all finished areas and they're cathedral ceilings, was over here, to go on a second story above this. So
And there's a house
there's a house over there. who-
over here? How about over here?
There's no one here. Oops. This one, the neighbor had asked that.
Oh, you put in
we plant
trees,
and
trees,
planted
that's
the
right.
cryptogram.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can't really see, there's a neighbor here. You can't really see.
It's really weird back there. I thought.
It's a beautiful piece of
Yeah,
property.
I think so too. It's quite charming, but it
Yes,
was like,
Okay, let's
where
go.
am I?
So, this is the existing house, so you get a sense of what it looks like. And as I said, these areas are cathedral, so really it was just a cost prohibitive thing. Besides being costly, it's also then encroaching in the wetlands setback. We would have needed wetlands relief in order to build there. So,
Or you would have to construct over part of your cathedral ceiling.
exactly.
You would have to lower the ceiling and then put a
Yeah.
second floor over it. Yeah.
So we're taking this off. And we're adding a second floor on over that area. And the idea is to use the same roof forms that are in the project and to mitigate the fact that it is stepping up by bringing this roof form down in order to, and this is at the same pitch as these, and this changes pitch at this point, and then also because the front is, we've added a front porch, oops. Sorry. And, let's see if I can do this. Like this. So it all sort of ties it together. We looked at, again, what the
if you added on over the whole thing, it's just like the cost to eliminate the cathedral ceilings plus the wetlands situation. You know, so this was.
Well, those are actually separate issues. So, like,
They're
'cause-
separate
yeah,
issues,
those are
right.
separate-
There's a-
Because right now you're taking the existing house, you're going up a second story, and you're going into the existing part of the house.
We're going in,
Yeah,
yes, but
yeah.
that has flat ceiling, it's not cathedral, so it's a little easier
Right.
to deal with.
Okay.
And it's also the garage, this is the garage, so it had a flat roof to begin with.
Okay.
So so it's just a small portion of the picture, and these were flat ceilings to begin with, so.
Seems like if anything, you've improved the house, as far as the aesthetics go, because it's certainly not much to look at.
Oh, okay, I was gonna share the
Yeah.
screen with
Yeah.
those. I did bring hard copies of those.
This is when you drive down the driveway and don't know these houses are here. You're like, oh.
Louisiana over here, it's amazing.
I don't know if I can do this.
And do me a favor, let's go elevation by elevation, talk about materials.
Okay.
So start at page A3.1.
I'm not sure I'm able to do this. How does this work? What I would do. All right, we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Well, I could just go on the model, then the front elevation.
Well,
there's
do you have your
existing-
drawing, do you have your
I do
paperwork
have the
with you? Yeah,
drawings. I
let's
was
just,
trying to,
if you just want to lay it on, for time, if you just want to lay it on the
yeah,
table.
I'll just lay it on the table. So the existing house is cedar vertical plank siding. And it's tongue and groove. It's got a gray stain, which you can see in the photos. There is a close-up of the detail of that. So this is existing vertical, and that's what we're gonna keep continuation around the addition on the first floor. We're continuing the same siding across the first floor.
So this is,
And that is on I didn't number these sheets. I heard you talking about that to
Yes,
other people about numbering them, and
thank
so in the future we'll do that.
Yeah.
But this is a
And we-
picture of what the existing siding is and the color.
Okay, so it's going to match existing.
It will match existing, and
Good.
it's white trim, it's pretty typical. These are the shutters, this is like the detail of the soffit, and so all those elements are going to be reused in the addition. The second floor, in order to bring the mass down so that it doesn't feel so oppressive, we've changed the siding to horizontal. So it's horizontal nickel gap siding, and it will be painted also the same color as the first floor. And ideally, just for cost purposes, instead of using a clear cedar product, we were looking at using a Boral true exterior siding, which it looks, I've used it a few times, and it looks just like cedar siding in my mind. I don't think once it's painted, like if you're gonna stain siding a color, it looks very,
Okay.
I can tell the difference, but I don't think most people would be able to tell. And we're just continuing the shutter pattern, trying to bring the elements of the.
So these are all
existing
double hung
house.
windows to match existing?
They are double hung windows to match existing, except the ones in this area.
Okay, and
Those are
these shutters are just there to match existing? Because they,
Yeah, they're gonna match
yeah,
the
they clearly
existing.
don't, they're not operable, they can.
No, they're not operable, they're just there
Okay.
for aesthetic purposes.
Okay,
And then the front columns will probably be the fiberglass columns, prefabricated columns, white, and the roof will be asphalt shingles to match the existing color of the roof, which is like a dark charcoal
okay.
color.
Board members?
I think it looks pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, I appreciate
It is an improvement.
Thank you.
That was so weird
I
down
don't know
there.
if the homeowner's sitting in the audience.
So, yeah, I think it looks good.
Yeah, I like the twist of the vertical and then the horizontal and the slope. I feel like the rhythm of the house is elegant and not too overwhelming. And I appreciate that you made us a model.
It made a huge difference, because that's
I
the
missed that.
most confusing site to explain.
Are there,
It is. Well,
Are there,
thank
are
you.
there any comments from the public? Okay. Then I'm going to motion to approve the application for 75 Hetty Creek for materials dated, there's no stamp there.
That's what I need.
Yeah. For revision drawings from 5/21 to 2025 ARB. Is there a second?
Yes.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
There you go.
So because of the zoning, so do I need to come back then when I have the written zoning board
Oh,
decision?
that's right. Wait, yes, you will.
Oh, can we even approve it? No.
I think we just.
I mean, the board voted on it already. You're just waiting for the written decision.
Yes, yeah.
We do usually wait.
Okay.
So now what?
You already voted on it. I think it's
Too
fine.
late?
Yes.
We were out of order. We shouldn't have
I
voted.
did.
That was my fault. We were out of
That
order.
was his fault.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, so we don't have to come back.
No.
It would,
So when is
It's a
that?
formality.
I heard they canceled.
It's a formality.
The planning board and the zoning board
Yeah.
canceled their meetings last month.
Unless
they
they
did.
don't approve, you're
Yeah,
good.
you need to talk
Okay.
to us.
if they don't approve it, then I'll,
But they did approve it. They're
but
just
they
waiting
did,
to
they're
have
just
it written
waiting
up.
to
Is
have
that
it written
correct?
up and the,
Okay.
and the whole decision,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, no, so it was supposed to be at last month's meeting and it didn't
Yeah.
happen, so it's.
Oh, I saw that at meeting, actually. Yeah, okay.
No, it didn't happen.
No, the last time.
Oh, oh.
Before that, the one they were talking about it. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. So that takes us next to 1430 Meadow Lane. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Hi.
We did this one time last year.
I feel like this house has been back and
Couple of
forth a few
times.
times.
No? Done this like 3 times already.
There's a bunch of you. Okay.
Susan's there, I just couldn't see her. Should I proceed?
Yes, start with introductions for the record, please.
My name is John Bennett, Bennett Lee, and Lori Bethu and Nicole Constantina from BMA Architects are here as well. And we
Okay.
did submit to Alice the affidavit of mailing and posting. This application seeks approval to construct a very modest addition to an existing residence at 1430 Meadow Lane, a 621 square foot addition. The application was the subject of variance relief granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So this was, there was pyramid relief given and height relief given because actually this sits below, well below the highest portion of the house. And so why was height and pyramid relief necessary? There was, at a certain point in time, if any portion of the house had a pitched roof, and you got the benefit of the 35 feet, then the code sections were changed so that a certain proportion of the pitched roof, house had to be pitched roof. So we needed relief from for that, but it's lower. It's about 6 feet lower. This addition than the highest point of the house, if I remember from the ZBA application. This house, the addition to the house is essentially a football field away from the street. It's 295 feet away from the street, and again, no higher than the existing, well under the highest part of the existing residence. I guess it's worth saying that as part of the variance application process, both neighbors were very, very supportive of the application. There is, the survey will note that there's a proposed garage north of the tennis court. That garage structure was already approved by this board in 2023. And we've kept renewing the building permit because it's remember, you'll all remember, there was a time when accessory structures on oceanfront properties had automatic relief. You used
Or
to have to
exa-
get,
you mean-
you used to have to get variances for them, but then unwisely and sadly, they took that away. Because if you run up and down Meadow Lane, there are probably more variances granted because it is the front yard, but of course it's the ocean front. It's really technically where people live. So, but that garage structure was approved by this board in 2023. We've continued to renew the building permit. All the materials are consistent with the existing window style, the same siding to match, but I'll let Lori take you through the elevations.
Okay.
So as John mentioned, this proposal is very modest in nature. The first floor footprint is growing by about 10 feet on one wing. Move ahead to the plan. And these photos are just documentation of the existing conditions. The oceanfront elevation will not be affected. And then go back one to that existing. So this is just a close-up view of the street-facing elevation. You can see we're planning on replacing existing dark sky compliant light fixtures in kind. So what we're looking at now will be pulled out by 9 feet on the second floor. And the intention is to maintain that same architectural language as the rest of the house. So we'll have the naturally weathered mahogany boards forming this ribbon shape, so to speak, with white boards that are painted as the infill material and the first floor.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? The mahogany is
So-
being replaced by?
The mahogany will remain as is, so it's essentially the same facade, just pulled further towards the street, as you can see in this rendering. And then white painted clapboard or tongue and groove boards on the first floor. And what's currently garage space is being converted to gym on the first floor. So those are the windows that you can see on the lower left in this view. And it's worth noting, as well as being a football field away from the street, there's a lot of screening at the street as well as a gate. So you really don't have a view of the house at all from Meadow Lane.
There's a tennis court and there will be a garage in front of it. This is essentially this just enlarge in 3 bedrooms by a fairly modest amount.
Correct.
It's
I know
quite
you're
small.
adding, sorry. Sorry.
We're not adding any bedrooms at all. We're in effect enlarging 3 bedrooms by a total of 621 square feet. House is currently, I blew this up, it's on your sheet G001. I took a photo of it because hold on a second, I'll give you the info. The house is currently 9,387 square feet, and it will be 10,004 square feet, still well under the maximum allowable of just a couple of square feet shy of 15,000.
Okay. Board members.
Just a quick question, are the solar panels new?
The solar
The roof
panels
line
are
existing.
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 Yes.
So you changed the garage to a gym and added 1, 2, 3, 5,
6.
6 windows,
Correct.
floor to ceiling, correct?
They're not full floor to ceiling. We have really high ceiling heights in there.
So, I mean, I don't know. It seems to throw off the balance of how the house looks. It does all
We have a
those.
variance for the square footage. We have, this is.
It's not the square footage, Mr. Bennett.
Okay,
It's how
but
it
you
looks.
can talk about the fenestration,
Yes.
but the
they-
fact that
I think we are talking just about the
Excuse me?
fenestration. I think they
Okay.
are talking about the
And it's
fenestration.
north facing and a lot of glass
Yeah.
facing north.
I just think it's a
it's
straight.
north facing, it's 300 feet from the road. If you drive to the site, you'll see it's almost wooded. There's a tennis court with a fence and tennis court screening in front of it.
I think
And
what
then a garage.
I think just what you're hearing is that there is some concern visually about it's just pulling up to the house and looking through a bunch of glass windows into the gym is not the friendliest arrival at a house. But the There's just some concern about the amount of glass where there was solid wall, now glass facing the street. I realize it is way back from the street. That's what I think we're hearing.
Understood. Is that something that you would be satisfied with a landscape solution to mitigate the light?
Nope.
It's also energy north facing glass.
You know, here's what I think. I think there's already a lot of glass. I think it was quite a handsome house. And I think that big area of all, throws off everything, just visually. And also it's a lot, I can live with the amount of light that there was, and I don't think that where the garage was and now it's the gym, that it needs to be a solid wall. But I think it is, those windows are excessive, and honestly, when you look at that, the first thing you see is a giant span of glass, which, unlike the rest of the house, by the way.
I'm talking about the first floor only.
I'm talking about what you're talking about, Mr. Bennett. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, where
I-
the garage was, they changed it.
First
It was,
floor.
and it wasn't, the garage thing was almost, I could see why you would want to change that. I'm not saying that. I just think that it's excessive, and it throws off the look of the house, and it could be reduced, is what I think.
Well, I don't look at, we might actually cut the glazing down substantially.
What's the
if
point
that's,
of this?
I mean, I think that's what the concern is.
That is the
That's
concern.
the only concern, actually. I just think
Yeah.
when you look at the window-to-wall ratio in that part of the house, and that's what you pull up and see, first of all, it takes away a little bit from the presentation at the front door, because you're actually drawn to this big gaping maw of glass staring into looking at gym equipment. So it feels like if you pulled that down a little, it'd be a little more typical of what we see when we pull up to houses, a little more harmonious to the other houses that are in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Understood.
We can take a look
can
at
do
that. Yeah, absolutely.
And are those door handles? Is that what I'm seeing? They look like there's door handles, or is that just?
They are door handles, so.
Yeah, for some reason I find that somewhat.
Well, these are actually doors that open.
Yeah, it just
And
seems
so
a little.
are they slide backs?
They're actually swing doors.
So they're swing doors, so they
Yeah.
all swing in?
Yep.
I think that's kind of cool. There's
That is
not
cool.
many of them.
I just think the scale seems large.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a little bit of guidance here. You don't want us to take doors off there.
No,
but you
well,
want us to
less
make them
is more.
less.
I think you need to bring them down,
Okay.
to where they're not such a prime focus when you go
Perfect.
in.
I thought you were trying to talk about the square footage. You were just talking about the fenestration. Great.
Yes.
For the frustration.
No one's arguing about it.
And then the question I have is, what's the lighting inside that room? Is it all ceiling mounted? So we have no lighting that's projecting forward.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that's helpful. Let's get you another iteration.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. Any comments from the public?
Thank you.
Okay. Other than that, the house is great. It's going to be great. It's just that's the one concern you're hearing. All right. So you'll be good for July 14th.
Bastille Day.
Okay.
Oh.
I know, such a bummer.
Whole other issue.
Somebody-
Okay, so a motion to accept the
Right.
applicant's
Every
request for
meeting.
adjournment
I
for
know,
1430
it's so
Meadow
annoying.
Lane to
Yeah,
July
like
14th.
missing
Is there a
Bastille.
second?
There were two French things last time.
All in
See you
favor?
next time.
Aye. Okay.
Great, onward.
Okay, that takes us to 31 Edward Lane. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Okay. And I'm going to give a little bit of a disclosure here because I am a friend and I know well one of the people involved with this project. So I also want everyone to know that I have not seen these plans, did not see these plans prior to coming here, and I have not consulted on this project. I want that on the record. Okay?
I was going to share my screen.
Please.
I'm Will Gothi, the architect, We Plus Architecture and Design. Perfect. So this property is there's an existing home that we're looking to reuse the existing footprint. And we're also looking to, as best as we can, mimic the proportions. Glazing facing the street. Materiality, we're trying to keep the same in kind within the neighborhood. In addition, we are looking to add to the existing footprint of the home. While we are reusing the existing footprint, we are adding to it. We're adding bedrooms, we're adding a main living area. I'm going to reference to a couple of things in this site plan here. First thing worth noting is this red dashed line here is indicating the existing footprint of the existing home. It's worth noting as well that there are a couple of design challenges when we first approached this. The first design challenge is that there's a single-story covenant in the neighborhood. We're not looking to pursue a variance of that covenant. This is a single-story home. In addition, it's 2 front yards, so we are pretty constrained dimensionally, but we have played a lot of Tetris and figured out how to make it work. We have one thing just to keep in mind that is evident, makes that even more evident, is the fact that we've reached our lot coverage limit quicker than we've reached our GFA limit. So it's a tight site, but what we feel like we've done is doing a modest expansion in addition to a single-story structure. I have a couple of this page is very important, so tell me if I'm going too fast through it, but the first view that I'm going to take you through is this view number 1 here, coming down Edward Lane. So as you can see at the top here, this is the existing residence. All of these images are also in the packet, but I'm just walking you guys through this as easily as I can. You can see that we are proposing to move the front door to the other side of Edward Lane as it turns, and I actually feel like that's it's going to be a good benefit to the neighborhood because that side of Edward Lane faces the Whitmore Estates, I guess the kind of the rear yard of the estates. So there's actually no neighbors across from the proposed front door. So in the bottom view where you see this facade, we were trying to play with the balance of solid and void and being very careful about how many windows we're using on this facade. We do want it to feel like the existing home. But it's worth noting that the front entry is not on this facade anymore. There is, however, I'm going to zoom into it, a side entrance. We didn't want it to feel completely closed off from the street. We want it to feel a little, quite a bit more welcoming. I'm kind of circling Edward Lane, this corner lot that we have here. So at the top, this is the existing residence here. And then here's the proposed residence sitting at the corner. So you can see the existing proportions, where the proportions of the existing home we've maintained, but obviously this is a complete reconfiguration of the floor plan. And then as we turn the corner, so this facade is an important facade. At the left here is the existing residence, and then on the right here's the proposed residence. Now, this is an important facade. This is where our front door is. This is where we have our living room, our public spaces, and also the proposed single-car garage. This is all of this entire facade faces the Whitmore Estates, the backyard portion of the Whitmore Estates that I was referring to. The materiality is very simple. We're looking to use Western red cedar shingles, and we're looking at Marvin windows painted white. It felt very in keeping with the neighborhood. Again, we wanted to be modest, but also maximizing the property.
What's the roofing material?
Cedar shingles as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We do have trim, white.
And those black bars are snow guards?
Sorry, which black bars?
On the roof.
Oh, those linear slots? So that's a concealed gutter. So we don't have an attached gutter, we have a concealed gutter.
A Yankee gutter, okay.
So this highlights another, I guess, an artistic interpretation, really. Our goal here was to try to simplify the forms. Attached gutters felt like it was getting very busy. And we do have this pavilion style home. So we're trying to make it minimal, but not modern. Trying to make it sleek so that we can do multiple forms intersecting with each other, but not making it feel overcomplicated.
Okay.
I have additional visuals.
How many bedrooms is the house?
The house, we are proposing 7 bedrooms.
So where are the 6 cars going?
I'll show you the site
Oh,
plan.
it's a big driveway.
So we have 4 bedrooms on the first floor, and we have 3 bedrooms in the lower level in the basement.
Sorry.
We'll pull up the site plan.
But on your site plan, where's there parking on site for, how many cars did you have to have?
There's 6 cars.
6?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have, can you see this configuration on the screen here? We have 1 car parked in the garage and 1 car stacked behind it, 2 cars off to the side, and then a small parking area for 2 additional cars. And again, this is a lot of parking, but we did want to bring it on the side of Edward Lane that is away from the neighbors. So there are no neighbors that really have a direct view of this parking lot or of this entire facade. There's 1 neighbor just to the north.
Is this a single car garage or a double garage?
It's a single car garage. Yeah, we couldn't get 2 car garage on the, we couldn't fit it on the lot coverage of the site.
So I see.
There's 1 car in the garage.
What number is that on your? Is that
These are
80?
on our plans and elevations, the full size set that.
Is-
Yes,
is-
ma'am. That's it. Mhm.
Okay.
What is the driveway made of?
Just a crushed gravel, pea gravel. And I have some visualizations that will help with the rear facade because I realize we haven't covered that. So we're, again, going around the corner of Edward Lane. In the back, we are proposing
Is
an...
that part of the driveway?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
there's a-
I can
there's a
stay on the
left
front of the
turn.
house if you want to. This is a rendering of the front of the house where the driveway is.
But in your rendering, that's a 1-car garage with room for 1 car behind it. It's actually wider than that, right? Because you've got 2 cars side by side behind the garage.
I've got, so if you see right here just to the right of the garage, that's the expanded parking in the garage where we could stack 2 cars.
Okay.
You can see it's kind of cut off here, but.
It's cut out there, okay.
Yeah. In the rear of the home, we're looking to put in a new pool. It is, we again, constrained by the lot coverage, but we are able to get a 14 by 30 pool in the back.
And is the house right up against there? What am
I wouldn't
looking
say
at?
right up against, it's about, we maintain a distance of 12 feet at the closest
Oh, okay.
from the house to the pool. Perspective might be a little misleading.
Are those shadow striations or?
This is a shadow from the overhead louver.
Oh, I see. I got it.
There's a trellis for shade in the back.
Are you gonna have any planting on it or just?
No plans to put ivy or anything on it.
Okay.
All the windows we have this muntin pattern that that carries throughout the whole house. Again, the windows are painted white. Here's a better view for you to see what the overhead trellis structure looks like.
And they're natural shingle, but they're
Not.
what?
They are natural, western
natural.
red.
They're
shingles.
western red, so it'll turn
Mhm.
dark.
Okay.
It will, yeah, they have that darker tone rather than this clear cedar.
Okay.
Okay. Board members, comments?
My initial reaction when I saw the renderings was that I felt like it looked like a very commercial kind of looking building, it didn't seem to be very homey, and that was my initial reaction. I know rendering's going to be very misconceiving, but something about the window placement, it just seemed very repetitive.
Yeah, that was intentional, trying to give it a rhythm, but I understand.
You're what?
Trying to give it a rhythm. We do try to equally space things just to give it that rhythm. Do you still feel that way after seeing the presentation, or?
I do.
You do?
I like stark, but it has a kind of coldness that I feel.
Yeah,
like
it just
that
seems.
it's not, and that's such a kind of funny little neighborhood there. With different houses, mostly shingle. But they're diverse, but I don't know if landscaping could help, or it does seem, I don't know how to stark.
I kind of appreciate the Quaker feel almost to it, almost simple and
I like that.
and raw, and I really appreciate the fact that you've considered so carefully the existing house and tried to keep the character and do sort of artistic interpretation with the way you broke up the volumes and varied them. I don't see this as repetitive. I see it as simple and harmonious.
Okay.
My two comments would be, I don't know that it's easy to find, the front door doesn't seem to be quite celebrated enough, like where is the front door? And the thing that I find disharmonious to the neighborhood are the skylights.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think this is a new build, and if you're figuring out how to bring light into a new build, usually I don't think the skylights are working. I actually think they're disruptive to the flow of the architecture. I think the simplicity is nice. The fact that you got the Yankee gutters in, I think is really kind of fun. But the read that you get from these skylights, especially as they looks like renovation, and it's not. It's a new built house. So I think you would need to find another solution for how you're trying to bring light in the house. That would be my one comment. I think the rhythm of the windows, I think it looks a little more stark in renderings than it might, but I hear where you're coming from. But I think, again, when I look at the skylight again, it just blocks. Yeah,
those are just internal bathrooms, so
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out a way to get some light in there. But I understand.
You might get a window. But for the overall, the simplicity I like. My other comment would be: is there a way to have a little more presentation to the front door? Because when you drive down the street and look at it, it almost looks like a side door because there's not side lights to it. There's not, it's quiet. Where the front door is. Normally you want it to be very obvious where the front door is when you're coming down the street. But those would be my only two comments. I think the garage works. I think the pool house works. I think the way the pool has been, it's a small pool.
Yeah.
And the way you've integrated in the back, I think is good.
Okay.
So those are my comments.
Do you think warmer materials might help? Maybe not the white trim would make it feel not so commercial.
I think as the house ages, it's going to turn dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't object to that.
Okay.
I see the landscaping could be
Landscaping
helpful.
will help.
Just saying.
Well,
I try to make it invisible so that you can see to the house.
You know what? One of the things that I get it because where you're going for, one of the things you've got very linear right now. What you're showing your landscape is incredibly linear against a very linear house, and I think that's reading as that's where some of the stark is coming from. So that may be a little question of the rendering, but I understand where the comment is coming from about the rhythm of the windows.
I appreciate the entry party. I think that maybe just planting and lighting would help. I think I could see it glowing subtly at night under the eave, and then having
I did not turn on lights here.
Yeah, so I think I could see that, and then having a couple of symmetrical, plants marking the entrance, so it's less linear.
Yeah. I have to agree that the skylights disrupt the stark part.
Yeah.
They disrupt everything, and it's weird, but they attract your eye. So maybe you could if you got rid of those, that would be a big help. And we really don't, there's hardly a skylight left since the 70s in Southampton Village, I would say.
Okay.
Look how nice that looks with no skylights, right?
Except for that one down there on the end.
What?
Yeah, we've got one.
Oh, there is
Yeah,
one?
right here.
Oh, I can't see it.
There it is.
This one could just be a bathroom window. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be
That'd be-
nice.
that'd be
Not
nice.
all the bathrooms have that opportunity,
Yeah.
but this one could.
Good. Well, I think the comment just to address is the skylights.
Yeah, I agree.
Are there any comments from the public? Okay. Hello?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. My name is Andrew Baker. Myself and my wife, Lauren DiLeonardo, on the property to the north of this property at 31 Edwards Lane. Well, so thank you for the time. I'll get to the point. I think a couple of comments we wanted to pass along. So first, I want to give you a little more background very quickly, which is this house is deeded as a single-story house. It's not a zoning thing, as was earlier mentioned. It's actually a deed restriction. So when the property was sold in the 50s, the properties that actually sold it were farmland, and the idea was that this would be solely a single-story home and that there wouldn't be a second story. If you know the area, it's a very modest, humble, sort of honest architecture. Our view is that the height of these roofs is far too high for the neighborhood. In particular, directly behind this property, because they're turning the alignment of it, our backyard appears directly at the pool house and the garage. And our understanding, when we went to the building department, the height of the pool house is set at 16 feet. The garage is 12.4 feet. We would ask that those be taken down substantially. Smaller points, we would also ask that they add privet hedging all around the property, especially if they're gonna have a swimming pool, which is kind of like nuisance eyesore, obviously. We also wanted to sort of confirm where the pool equipment will go, as we didn't see that in the actual plan. So maybe I'll pause there.
Okay. Where is the pool equipment going?
It's going. There's a space between the garage and the pool house to where it would. I gotta pull up the site plan.
Is it behind the, is it,
In this
is it
area
between
here.
the pool house and the garage?
It's like this area labeled uncovered storage.
Okay. And then there's a gate, is there a gate that closes it off?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's right. Like the thing I really want you to understand is immediately to the right of the pool house and garage, it's not on this plan, but that is like our backyard and our swimming pool. So we would ask that the pool equipment be moved. And again, like the pool house and the garage are right up against our property line. They barely comply with the setback. And the roofs of them will exceed the height of our privet hedge, which is 11 feet. So I think that the height of those should be taken down and the whole structure should be taken down. I think the spirit of a deed encumbrance at one story is not to have height anywhere near what's been proposed here.
No.
Mark, the applicant's agent said that it was a covenant. He didn't say it was a zoning issue. I just wanted to clarify. There was no misrepresentation here.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I was just referring, somebody said earlier they weren't going for a zoning appeal. The zoning board doesn't have the right to change this, is the point I was making.
Okay, so you're saying it's a private covenant
Correct.
and therefore privately enforceable, not by this board?
Private enforceable covenant in the deed itself, exactly right.
Okay, so not enforceable by this board then?
Correct, that's right.
Okay, just want to clarify.
Okay. Any other comments? Did you have any other comments, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, no other comments. I really appreciate the time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. You've heard the comments. Do you think you'd be ready to come back to represent them July 14th?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So I'm going to motion to approve the applicant's request for a adjournment for 31 Edwards Lane to July 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. That takes us to 1210 Meadow Lane, to modification for previously approved plans. Do you have the affidavits and are they in order?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
We always ask for the originals, apparently. But I get them via email.
I know, Jonathan sent you Chief, so why don't you?
Oh, we haven't seen you in a while. We haven't seen you in a while.
I know, hello.
Welcome.
Good evening, Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental Associates. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'm also joined with the architects of record, Viola Brioni, I always screw, sorry, and Damon Hamilton.
Okay.
We're here to modify an approval we received on July 11, 2022 for our project.
I was going to say, it's been a while since we saw this project.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes. And there's just so, of course, projects evolve, so some minor changes have happened, and Viola will walk you through them. How come I don't have it?
Okay.
Hi.
Are you? Ah, there you are.
Yes,
You answered
there
my
we are.
question. Thank you.
So this project is currently under construction. It has been under construction for the past 2 years. And as Melissa pointed out, during that time, being in the building and around it, a couple of changes happened. And they happened keeping the construction schedule in mind, and a backseat came to getting approval before these changes were made. So that's why we're here today. And we're going to walk you through the project by showing you first what was approved by
Okay.
this board, I guess 3 years ago now. So we thought rendering format was the best. And we're just going to walk you through some of those views. So this is the view from the street.
This one.
Right, coming up to the street.
Oh, yeah.
The gate.
But let me just clear something up before we get going here. Had these changes already been made? Because you're
Yes.
under construction, you already made them under construction, now you're bringing here to see if we'll approve them?
Exactly.
Well, that's the wrong order, but go ahead.
Yes, so that's why I mentioned the
Okay.
wrong order, yes. This is the atrium view. Open porch. View of the pool. This is the lower level where the garage is and what was a carport. And then this is looking back from the ocean. So we created these comparison views. One of the changes that happened was,
So this is first the garage.
yeah, this is first the garage. So you'll see that kind of shorter opening on the left, that's a garage, and that was part of the approval. And then to the right, before, was a carport to drive in. And the owner, once he saw it, felt that maybe that would be a place that animals would go live and whatnot, and asked that that be converted to a garage as well. So that, right now, is geared towards being another garage door.
Okay.
We have the screen up here.
And we added a screen as well. Once the building was up and you're upstairs in that kind of big window area, the view of the neighbor was really prominent. So a request was made to put some wood slats across that so that there's less of a view towards the neighbor, less light would go towards the neighbor, and it would afford more privacy for both the owner and the neighbor. The other change that happened was, initially speaking of windows in the bathroom, there was no window in the bathroom. There's kind of an open shower that happens as an atrium on the inside, and everyone was hoping there would be enough light into the bathroom from there. But once we were in the space, the bathroom seemed very dark. So a strip window came in. It's a transom height window. It's 6 feet above the finished floor, and it's about 3 feet high. So you can see that comparison of what that elevation looks like without the window and now with the window.
I actually can't see that, but okay.
Yeah.
So there's without the window, and there's with the window.
It's a very thin window high up against the roof line.
You'll be able to see it in the elevation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's look at the
we'll go
elevation.
to some elevation. So these are sort of comparing up top, you will see before what was previously approved, and below is what is currently proposed and or underway. So you'll notice where there was glass on the second floor, now that is more screened and muted. And whereas there was a big opening for a carport, that is now just been enclosed with a garage door. The only difference is that there's really a wall with a garage door. And this is now on the west side. You can see the elevation without the window and now with the window. And there's also another minor change where they wanted to be able to walk out of the room there on the bottom left. So there's a couple of steps leading up.
Peel it back a little bit.
Yeah, it just got
Smaller.
And we also added another screen on the back side of the far side for more privacy from the neighbor.
That would be over here.
Yeah.
On that other side, you're just seeing it through.
Well, obviously, the reason we bring people in here and go through all this is because so the neighbors can know what's being built.
Exactly.
And then normally what we require is someone to come in and show us what they'd like to build. And then we look at it, the neighbors look at it. And in this case, I realize you've been under construction for 2 years, but somewhere in the last 2 years when you thought about doing this, you could have come in and asked for it before you just went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
So I do have to make that admonishment because like that puts us in a weird place because we have the right to say, no, you can't do it, but you've already built it. And we don't like to be considered like difficult that way, but like for anyone hearing this, you know, these kinds of problems, we're within our rights to deny it, something that's already been built, and we don't like to be put in that position.
Yeah, and I
Now, these aren't,
understand
I realize these aren't huge, but like there's a reason why the process exists. So I do have to put that on the record. To these changes, board members.
Well, actually, I think when we were originally doing this, we were begging for the screens, so I'm not gonna say no to that, because I remember it now.
That's true. We went
you know,
through.
Go forward
Yeah.
3 years, and now we're back to where you wanna put more in, which is fine, but I mean, this is just how this goes, and it was about light and privacy, I remember that.
Yes,
And it was a
we
fight.
were here for a long time with
Yeah,
this house.
so anyway, I don't have any objections. I think that you had the opportunity to come forward, and it really is a kind of slap in the face for us. And this was hard before.
We went through this house for a long time.
Yes, I'm tired of it.
Jane.
I agree with both Mark and Susan that puts us in a predicament, and I'm not gonna deny it. I'm just gonna say you better follow protocol.
Understood.
I feel like the changes are dictated by experience, and so I think they're good changes, but obviously in the wrong order.
Can I just make one clarification too, just because I think you're confusing this with another project? This project was heard in one night and approved in one night. The windows, when you look at it, actually are very minimal. And if you go to the house, you'll see they're really on the north and south. And in fact, Jeff, I don't even think, Susan, you were on the board at the time. I think you're confusing this with
Who was
another.
on the other board?
You were on the zoning, no, we didn't have to go to the zoning board for this, no.
I know the project you're talking about, Melissa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is a different
Yeah.
project.
Is it
You
the other
like
one that
this
has all the
project.
screening? Okay.
It was
Yes.
similar.
Yes, similar.
We had like a screen back and
Right.
forth.
But this
bunch
one,
of it.
you actually all liked.
Viola
and
wasn't the
approved in one
architect.
night.
Okay.
Same
Was
firm.
I
Sorry,
remember
it
that
was?
one.
Huh.
Okay.
But this
Okay.
one was one night, and Jeff even said, you know, because we were coming back from the ocean, so he's like, I mean, I'm like, actually, we're retreating behind the coastal erosion, and he's like, and it was approved in one night. So I just wanted to get clarified.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
You guys like
yes,
this.
I
So with
actually do.
that said, I
Okay.
completely understand that
I'll
this is
I'll
not
claim
the
age on
order.
that one, that I'm
It's okay,
confusing
yeah.
houses.
I think I had to do it, and you did not go to zoning?
No, we didn't have to. We
I
ran
remember-
coastal
okay.
erosion and everything. We
Well,
brought
here's-
everything into conformance.
At the end of all that, the story still holds.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come before
Yes.
change.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the other hand, had you brought these in, we would have approved them because you're actually covering
Yes.
windows and you're actually giving less glass.
And that's
you're
the
actually doing the thing
standard.
that we like the most is you're actually
The
adding in,
neighbors.
you're adding in privacy to neighbors. So there's not a reason we wouldn't have approved
But
it.
it's
But
also privacy for the occupants.
yeah.
They woke up to the privacy goes both
so for
ways.
that, are there any comments from the public? Okay, so then I'm going to motion to approve the late Request for changes to 1220 Meadow Lane LLC for drawings dated.
1210.
I'm sorry, pardon, 1210 Meadow Lane LLC for drawings submission dated 5/23/2025. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice.
All right. Then I get to change a page. It's very exciting. That takes us to 71 Hill Street. Demolition of a two-story structure and construction of a 2.5-story hotel and alterations to existing structures. Do you have the affidavits? Are they massive and are they in order?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, that's a stack. Those are a big stack.
My name is John Bennett. I'm sorry, Alice.
Oh, no, they're good. I looked at them earlier. Colin sent them.
Okay, thank you. And I'm here for the applicant, as are John David Rose and Scott Rose, and two of the principals, Terry Moon and Ed Moon, are here with us. This is an application to construct a new resort hotel building on a property located at 71 Hill Street. The existing northerly commercial building is proposed to be demolished and replaced with a new hotel structure. The two existing buildings fronting on Hill Street will remain. We've received special exception approval from the trustees with this site plan, these elevations, these drawings. We're currently before the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, we're before the zoning board of appeals for, I'll get into that. This a requirement that 90% of the frontage be in the village business be occupied by the structure, which we're clearly not doing here for obvious reasons. And also for the zoning board of appeals has jurisdiction over a special exception jurisdiction over the pool at the pros of the property and before the planning board. So
It's still before the planning board?
yes. Yeah, it's before the planning board.
And zoning.
The
Because they
trustees.
canceled their meeting. It's like a echo.
The
Okay.
the trustees, well, you guys seem to be people to your meetings, thank goodness.
The only,
Yes,
yeah.
I
Okay,
noticed
thank
that.
you.
It's been-
Mr.
it's
Bennett,
been
that's really
noticed.
nice of you.
It's been
Okay.
noticed.
We take
Noticed
it.
the bar. So we're going to propose is 40 hotel, resort hotel suites. There had been a prior approval of 48. 8 workforce housing units. There originally were 4, now there are 8.
Nice.
Staff housing for 8 employees. And a great thing also is a sewage treatment plant. Let me talk to you a little bit about the length of the building. If you were to follow the code, the zoning code, this would be a much longer building. 116.11.3E3 requires in a village building zone that the frontage span 90% of the width of the lot. I think it was made for Jones Lane, that section was made for Jones Lane and Main Street.
Main Street.
That's right.
But having said that,
It's on the books.
That's the
it's on
code.
books.
Yeah.
So
We know about the code, yep.
the existing combined frontage on Viridian Way is 56%. No, it's 44%, and we're going to 56%. So actually, this decreases the degree of nonconformity. But that's not your purview.
Yeah.
We're before the ZBA for that. But I just wanted to lay out how this has been carefully thought about. A lot of negotiations back and forth with the trustees. The trustees were happy with this plan. We're here to talk to you about the architecture. John will take you through the elevations and the renderings, and we're here to answer any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that okay, John?
It's great. Perfect.
Did I tell you how handsome you are?
I don't know if this.
You can
I
say
don't
that
know.
for later.
I don't know if this is the second or third iteration of this building we've seen.
There have been a few.
There have been a few.
I was on the planning board when this was
Another
first come
one?
on. How long ago was
First one.
that? How many
From the
years ago?
last one?
Me too,
4,
Jane.
5.
What?
No, because the swimming pool wasn't.
I was counsel then.
This is the third one, right? That's been publicly presented?
This is the first time for our firm to be
Yeah.
representing.
Yeah.
residents.
The last
Oh,
one,
but
the
you
last
did
one was
some
the,
preliminary, you
It
did
was
show
completely
something.
different.
yeah.
Yeah, it was completely different.
That was different. Okay, I'm just
That was
remarking, we've seen,
this.
like the barn that was earlier tonight, we've seen it a lot of times.
Yeah,
So-
which one is this?
For the applicant, John David Rose and Scott Rose Architects, for their offices at 596. So add a little bit more depth to it. The property's in a VB zone, not in the historic district. The property is 1.699 acres. The length of the property, to add to what John was saying, is 638 feet long, and it's 113 feet approximately on Hill Street. Our proposed building's 284 feet by 58 feet wide by 35 foot tall. The code requires our building to be 574 feet long, just to give you an idea of numbers. And that's what John had talked about earlier, the 90% of street frontage. So we're less than half of what the code requires. We're proposing to demolish, as seen right here, the existing building that currently houses the Plaza Cafe. The two stick-style buildings, E and F, will remain and be repaired and repurposed. Building F will become 8 workforce
I
housing.
hate to interrupt you, but the clock tower's coming down.
I'll get there. You
Okay.
just gave away my best.
What a loss.
Do you do this like as a podcast on the weekends, or? Okay, go
We
ahead.
couldn't wait. So, I know I lost my cadence.
I'm sorry.
That's
Oh,
okay.
dear.
Building F will become 8 workforce housing units, and Building E will remain commercial, and the clock tower will be coming down. I'm sure you're all very disappointed. Some of the inspirations for our building came from some of the work around here, one of which is this building here. I'll hold it up to you and then I'll put it up. That's John Russell Pope House. That's on 275 Ox Pasture Road. It was built in 1920, and then I renovated it about 20 years ago. Another building for inspiration, and I'm sure you're hopefully familiar with this, is McKim Mead and White's Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, which is a great structure. And then a project we did before on Meadow Lane, which is the gambrel shape, as is the John Russell Pope shape, as is our proposed building. What's interesting about the Tennis Hall of Fame is that attached to the Tennis Hall of Fame is this stick-style building, which is very similar. Certainly this is more historic than our two stick-style buildings that are remaining, but it gives you an idea that those types of architecture have been combined many times successfully before. To talk a little bit about the building, it's going to have cedar shingles left natural on the walls. The windows will be Anderson or approved equal in a dark bronze with a 2/2 light cut configuration. The trim will be sage tin, and the roof will be a timberline weathered wood asphalt. Gutters and leaders will be traditional half-round aluminum gutters. One of the nice things about the gambrel shape is that it allows us for a flat-roofed area. As an example, this building that we did had a very large flat roof, but you could never see it. This has it as well, and you'll never see it, and that's where we're putting the solar panels, because we want it to be very efficient building, and we want to be able to produce our own electricity, so you'll never see any of those solar panels. And you can see in this plan here, we have approximately 100. We haven't designed that detail yet, but it's up there and you can't see it. That's the Reader's Digest version. Here we have a landscape architect's plan on my right here. And I really can't speak to the actual species, but what you see is that we've tried very hard to increase the green space on the property. Your code requires that we be within 3 feet of the property line here, so we really couldn't step it back. We talked about the code being 90% of the property, which is what we're going to get a variance for. And then, of course, we had to spend considerable time with the fire marshal to meet the fire code. So, as you can see, there's a curb cut here, and it comes around in here. So the entire building can be fought to fire. I realize it's not part of the architecture review board's thing, but I just want to give you an idea how we landed where we are. The pool is down at this end, kind of at the private end, and then over here is a sanitary system that'll handle all the sanitary flow for the site.
It's actually a sewage treatment plant.
Sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
I'd like to open it up to questions.
Why don't you start at page A14 and take us through a little bit more of the detail work? What am I looking at? Which of these are balconies? How deep they are? What am I going to see from the street? Because right now you've got a 3-story building. I'm assuming these are all balconies that I'm looking at with the U-shaped tops to them.
They are.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a recessed balcony, as you see in this image here on the 3rd floor, or meetings white on the 3rd floor as well. So it's a recessed area. We don't put glass in them because I don't really want that reflection. I want a proper shadow line. I really want to show some depth up there. There are 4 units up on the upper level. The other units are on the 1st and 2nd level. If you look at page A11, you can see the layout, and it shows those balconies. Now, of course, those balconies have to be stepped back as per your code, so they're considerably back. So there's really not a question of, will one see anyone up there? It's stepped back, and the actual windows are back further than that. So there's not really a privacy issue, and it is stepped back as per the code. The goal is to just give it some depth. We obviously don't want a very tall, flat building. Quite frankly, one of those already exists in the village, right around the corner, which is a nice old building. But that's the Southampton Club.
Yep.
And that's a very tall vertical gambrel. Kind of flat, but it's lovely because it's been there forever. We wanted more depth. We wanted to really step it back, and your code kind of addresses that, but it was important to step it back. So that's where you start to see, best in this perspective here. You can see up there. These are back. These here, the same thing. Those are step back.
Can you show the first historic image you brought out?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
First historic.
The first historic image you brought out? The Pope.
First image that you had.
First historic image. I think it was the
That was the John Russell Pope
wasn't it?
house.
Yeah.
It's a great house.
And then the Newport.
Yeah, I
Center
renovated it. It was a wonderful project to work on. It's actually very large. It's cut off here, but it's a very long building, and it's rectangular and very shallow.
Board members.
Can I just start with it? Sort of, I appreciate the depth that you're creating and all of the thoughtfulness you've put into the historic references. The one thing I would say, just starting off from a technical perspective, the solar panels should be 41 degrees for New York, and flat. I don't know how you deal with water runoff, so I don't know about the argument of hiding them, because often even if the solar panels are tilted, you don't necessarily see them. But I'm relating that a little bit to the references that you brought up, where the peaks are a little bit closer together, and I somehow have this sprawling sensation from this beautifully designed structure, but I feel like if those 2 peaks were slightly closer together, it would de-emphasize the sprawling. I mean, it's a hotel, so, but I feel like maybe the, if you brought those in closer proximity, there would be less of a wide effect, and the proportions might be more, what's the word? Diminutive, I don't know, how would you?
Harmonious?
Harmonious, gentle, yes.
Yep.
Less sprawling, basically. So that would be my comment.
Okay, let me answer the first one if I could. This building here has solar panels on the roof that are flat. They're now allowing it, and it works fine. They're actually, believe it or not, and I can't believe they're doing it, sometimes they face them to the north, which doesn't make any sense to me. But with a lot of the new panels, you can do them flat.
Yeah.
And they are here, and I promise you, none of you knew this, other than if you were around when you approved this a long time ago. You can't see them.
The
Yeah,
other part
yeah.
is up on that roof, it's not just a flat roof. It actually, the roof pitch actually reverses itself, and actually there's a recess in there where we have roof scuppers and
So
drains.
it's down.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a drainage.
Those
Yeah.
solar
mechanism.
panels could have a slight angle,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
still would not be able to see them.
Okay, I mean, I'm not
Can
a
I-
stickler for the.
Is
I
that
think
is that a full rendering?
I'm sorry.
Is that a full rendering?
It does show the entire building,
Yeah.
but the landscape kind of masks some of it on the upper portion.
Well,
But that is the
Can you
full.
pass it up here? Because you can't see the whole thing up there, and we haven't seen that, so.
Even when, oh, that's better.
The way they make solar panels, the angle doesn't really matter. What matters is that they're not shaded.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
not really, I don't think the technicalities, for optimum annual energy collection are very important. I think it's more the aesthetics of the peaks maybe being brought closer together.
Proportionally, it's.
So, and it's an interesting point, because these are closer, yeah, these two here. And these trees exist now. Those two gambrels are closer together. So as we bring this one, in theory, closer to that one, it gets further from that one. I would say that I don't know that one is better than the other. I will say that the nice thing about where these converge, they define the entrance over on this side here.
That's a good point, but I think these two are very prominent and symmetrical.
Well, we did, so as, obviously, we did the step back here, where this one steps back, and this one steps back, and then this is the full gable without any step backs on it.
It's sort of typical of shingle style
Yeah.
language. It doesn't have to.
I'm gonna, I know this is crazy, I'm gonna, can you pass that up here?
Sure.
Pass it up.
The big rendering, because we're looking at it upside down, and I think.
Bring it up.
I can't just look at it.
We're gonna actually hold it, look at it for a second here.
This one here, if I may, has the two gambrels pretty far apart. This was in Architectural Digest. It was a pretty nice building. And those gambrels are pretty far apart. And the shed dormers in between really help break it up and give it some depth.
Is the pool
Yeah.
remaining where it is?
Well, it wasn't there before.
No, there's no
There was
pool.
no pool there now.
Yeah.
That's new, that's proposed.
To
No,
the north.
there's a pool at there. And
Oh,
there's
no,
a-
this is a separate extra pool.
This is across the street.
This is across the street. This is where the Plaza Cafe is currently.
Right. But, so anyway, my question, way back when, there was a pool that was, I think was indoor, wasn't it?
Yes. No, I don't
On
think they
this
ever
building?
made it. They just,
On the north?
they
Maybe.
proposed an indoor pool on the first, not you.
Oh, first iteration.
It's been around the property, but
Somebody else.
this is the final location.
Right.
And currently,
Okay.
there's none on the site.
Okay.
I think it's acceptable. What can I say? I had, don't say Resort Hotel to Susan, that's all. But it was a done deal. So there you go. But I actually think the building's acceptable. It's big. But in terms of privacy and the balconies, we are looking toward the parking lot of the Southampton, and are we not? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And on the
You
other
don't
side
have
here,
much choice.
The parking lot for the movie theater.
Yes.
And the parking lot for the movie theater.
Yeah.
It's a challenging site.
No kidding. It always was, I guess, with the tower.
We're gonna be selling those bricks off.
Oh, my God.
And
They're
the-
just incredible.
And the oozing mortar.
But they're required to have this. And they could probably see the Southampton Club, actually, the one historic building you might be able to see.
Again, this is.
Here, this is what
Again, what's interesting about this is we're actually going to the zoning board of appeals to make it quite nowhere near as long
Less
as
than
the code
half.
requires, less than half.
Less
what
than
the code
half of
requires.
what's required.
Chance, monsieur.
That's very good, though. We should be complimented.
Oh, it's always French.
Yeah.
So when is that meeting? Soon?
Assuming they
Oh,
don't cancel it again.
depends.
I don't
Okay,
know.
never mind.
Yeah.
That's-
I don't know. I think, I really,
We
I
have
don't
the
know that
ZBA.
the.
CBA is Thursday.
This
Yeah.
Thursday,
Oh,
meeting.
Yeah. I don't know that they have it's there
Yeah.
for the pool, and we're actually making the size of, we're making it less non-conforming.
right. But I agree with you. You know, when they made that up against the thing for the square of Job's Lane, Main Street,
Yes.
that we're supposed to be up against the street, and Oh, there was supposed to be an opening. Isn't that what we're talking about here? Yeah,
It's challenging
yeah. Well, there's
if
no
you have to
place
go to
left.
lot line 0, and 3 feet isn't much.
That's what the code says.
You know, so
Well, maybe
we're
you
trying
can-
real hard to make the building step back, but the code says I have to keep it flat. Which is why we've given it the shade and the shadow and trying to break it all up a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate that, the breaking up.
That's been a real hard thing to do, given where the code wants this building to be. So I think it's been done quite well.
Do you have any comments?
I'm a little overwhelmed, quite honestly. I'm gonna need a little time to take it all in.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what I,
Okay, are there any comments from the public?
Oh, no. There's just never any comments.
No, this has been through 4 hearings before the trustees, and the only comment was Jay from the Southampton, Jay Deasing got up and said he thought maybe the trustees should consider opening up Meridian Way, connecting it to the subdivision to the north, and I said, well, I think the last time somebody suggested that there were
got shot.
pitchforks.
It wasn't a bad,
Well, that's part
it's a good idea.
Well-
That was about traffic.
Yeah, it's about traffic.
It is going to be about traffic.
But no, seriously, there were no, that was the only
I'm just-
comment.
I'm just trying to figure out why, when you look at it from the east-facing facade, the one that heads toward the parking lot it doesn't look quite as, the rhythm doesn't look quite as massive as when I look at it on the west-facing facade. I'm just trying to figure out if it's because there's the trees.
Might be the angle.
Yeah.
One of the sad things is,
This is
you really
small.
don't see it. As you drive
What?
down Hill Street, you don't see the building. I wish you
Oh,
did
you'll see-
more.
You'll see the building.
Oh,
When you're going down
well,
Hill Street, when you're going down Hill Street.
On my
you're
way to
taking
this
the
meeting,
clock-
I stopped
You're
and
gonna get some
and-
big
I'm
trees.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna agree with that. When you're driving down Hill Street, you're taking down the clock tower, you're gonna look there, it's gonna be a big, massive 3-story building.
Well,
You're gonna see it.
I'm
You're
pretty
gonna
proud of
see
that,
it.
actually.
And
I
actually, when you go
wouldn't
to
be
the
ashamed of
movies,
that. It's a nice,
as
you
I
go to
said,
a nice
one-
building.
and park in the parking lot, you're gonna see the building.
As I said, one of the
It's a
sad
parking
things.
lot for the movies, but so what? It's a parking lot.
Well, I was there today also and took a
All
bunch
right,
of photographs. and it's
I
all
actually
trees.
understand what Nita's comment is. I don't know what a fix for it would be because of all the other constraints that you're under.
I mean, it's a resort
I
hotel.
actually appreciate that the clock tower is going away.
Yeah, everybody.
The,
Yeah, everyone does.
I like it Bavaria, but not here. So I think, for that reason, I think that the size building you built, and based on the last 2 times we looked at this, we have come
Much
so
better.
far, so far.
Well,
So, we can't really vote on it because you're in front of 2 other boards. So,
So we'll see you another time.
You
I
know,
guess.
it's a resort hotel. I'm very happy that we're going to have a resort hotel in the village of Southampton. And in terms of scale, one of the places I go when I'm trying to get away from the Southampton beach crowd is a place in Rhode Island in Watch Hill called the Ocean House, which is a
Giant
very
thing.
large
Yeah.
but wonderfully done
Yep.
old-style resort hotel. And much larger than this and in a much smaller town.
I sort of know why. Do you know what the real problem with this? There is no central entry to this.
Well, they can't help that, can
The
they?
main, I'm sorry, did you ask, is there a main entrance?
Where's-
Yes,
where's-
there
You
is.
have to come this way because of the
there a
parking
public
lot.
space? Are there big public spaces in here? Because when you pull up, it doesn't. I'm not seeing like.
Well,
I'm not
It's
seeing
a
like.
resort hotel, that makes it different.
I know, but that's one of the reasons I think it looks massive. Because normally you pull up and there's a big,
Because-
huge
No,
front
what we
entrance.
tried-
and a
There's
porte
no
cochere, and you go and there's a
ballroom.
ballroom,
No, we
and
tried very hard to
public entry
downplay it.
spaces,
This
and
is
there's-
a,
because there's none of that there. I think
I
that's the part
object
that's.
to the resort hotel part because it sucks the services, out of the village.
But Mark, that's a great point. We went out of our way not to have that big
Right,
porte
and not
cochere,
have
the
the
big
ballroom
overhang with the
entrance?
But
not flashing
sometimes
lights.
when you
but
have that, and then the rhythm of the building stretches
Right.
out from the from a big entrance,
If
the
you look
building
at,
can make
can you
more
pull up
sense.
the
Yeah.
west
Maybe
elevation?
it's
Yeah,
thrown
maybe
out.
like a marked entry somewhere would
We
help.
do have
There it
that.
is.
Let
But
me,
it-
let me
this
show you
is-
that page. It does exist.
Here?
So
Because if
it's-
they can't find the entrance, then we failed as architects. So it was kind of important to us. Right
Well,
here. If
but
you
they
look at
have to go
page,
one way down there, so eventually they would find it.
well, no, it's both ways. It's two
Oh, it's
directions.
both ways?
Yeah, you have to for fighting the fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
Has to be 25
There's a
feet
big
Cool.
wide,
there's a turn,
Okay.
26.
no, I saw
26
the
feet.
turnout.
But if you go to page A15,
Hold on. Okay.
the left side of the page, you'll see
Okay.
a section
Oh, I see
line.
where it is on the plan. But when you see on your section plan, that's not the whole building. So when you look at the scale of your entry to the width of the building, compared to if this had been a major hotel that had a lot of public spaces in it, the entryway would have been bigger because they would be parking cars and there would be
I agree.
all of that, but also you would drive up to a great entrance to a building, and that's not here. And it has nothing to do.
And it doesn't
It's
belong
the
here.
reality of what they
Yes.
don't want here, so.
Our
I think
goal
that's the thing that's making them feel so massively without a big centrally located
The
place.
beauty of this setup is that they will come, park their cars, and not use it for the entire time they're here, because everything's within walking distance.
That's what
I'm
you
so
say.
gonna disagree with
Forget
that,
it.
but that's not for tonight's discussion.
Don't tell us
Wait,
that,
wait,
we don't
Yeah.
believe
I'm
it.
sorry, is there a discrepancy between this rendering and this elevation? Because I love the elevation, it's, the rendering does not, the elevation, am I just seeing the wrong?
It could be the angle of.
Which
the
elevation?
rendering.
815 is, which elevation is this? East elevation?
Facing east,
This
And
is
is that-
facing the movie.
movie theater.
parking lot.
So is this the east elevation here?
Yes.
I can't see which one.
The
you're-
bottom
One
one.
is,
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
the
this is
icky
the
one.
parking
One's
lot.
east and one's
This is
west.
the parking lot for the existing hotel, because Viridian Way's here.
Yeah.
So the rendering
So, as the entrance
is
here.
showing something different. It's just me, I don't know.
Could be the angle.
Is this different from this, or
What do you,
just me?
maybe help.
Oh, so where's the opening? Is that what you're
Here's the
saying?
entrance here, it's
Yeah.
much wider.
It's here.
What? Oh, the trees, okay,
Yes.
got it.
The trees are messing up because you
Okay,
can't see
and then
the
it's
whole
cut
way.
off here,
Thank
got
God
it.
they got a tree in there.
All right.
Okay.
the entrance is
So,
quite
so
lovely.
I think what you're hearing, is, we understand why it's big, we understand it's so long. There's something about it that doesn't feel as cohesive as it could. If it were a different kind of hotel. it
That
would
is
feel
a
different.
huge difference.
Yeah. And it's very different than the last, and better than the last one.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay. So we're gonna adjourn it, because we can't vote. So,
Yes, you guys will be spending your
John,
evenings
give me
at
an idea what
meetings.
timing you'd like.
Well, we have to go to the ZBA, we have to go to the planning board.
Well, that should be it, shouldn't it?
That should be it.
Mhm.
Come back in a month, maybe? Yes, no? What do you want to do, John?
Well, we have ZBA this Thursday,
Yeah,
and we're on the next planning board meeting.
which is,
If,
no.
Oh, it will never.
Well, we have a long break here. Do you want us to just adjourn to the 14th and then just to keep on the calendar?
Keep
then
as
you
a,
can
as
move it out
a,
if
as
you're
a
not ready?
control date,
And
that's
then
fine.
if you're not ready.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine, that's
All
fine.
She doesn't like that. Wait,
I
wait.
hate that. Why?
know.
Gloria doesn't like
It
it.
creates more work for everybody, and
So
it
then
doesn't make
July
any
28th?
sense.
What's the one after that?
28th.
28th? That's fine.
Okay.
That makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment for 71 Hill Street to July 28th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck with all your
Beautiful
boards.
drawing, by the way.
Oh, well,
Thank you.
I don't know.
It's a beautiful drawing.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us to 39 Moses Lane. Do you have the affidavits and other in order?
I do. And yes.
Oh, yes, I do. I got everything. Whoops, sorry. Oh,
Okay.
Some of this stuff out.
Okay, introduce yourselves, please.
Okay, Charles Kuhn, architect for the applicant,
Okay,
Nat Corner owner.
great, thank you.
Okay. All right, first thing I'd like to start out with, this application actually just went to the zoning board to actually have an existing covenant lifted from the property. The covenant was basically, when the property was subdivided back in 1998, the board put a covenant that the house, the existing house, could not be expanded. And it was primarily because back then, the zoning requirements were a lot more lax, and based on the zoning at the time, quite a large house could be built on this property. So when they subdivided, they put a restriction on the size of the house that could be built. The board acknowledged that, because 25 years plus later, the zoning is much more restrictive now, and they do feel comfortable that, what we're restricted to would fit visually on the property. So we went to the board, they just got the approval last week.
June 10th.
June 10th. So that brings us here.
So do you have a copy of that approval?
Me? No.
No. How about me? So you're saying?
Possibly the 26th, I think, is the next meeting. Maybe that's when the actual written decision
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
It was approved on the 10th.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So 39 Moses, it's a flag lot, again, based on the fact that it was subdivided from the house that actually fronts Moses. The original house, I believe, was an old barn, and over the years, quite a few additions were placed on the house. The latest ones, if you look at the existing front elevation, relatively horrendous addition was put on the house. So what we're looking to do, basically, currently the house has 4 bedrooms. We're looking to move 2 of the bedrooms to the side. Well, I should say that there is a bedroom on the second floor. Currently, we're looking to basically move the master suite to the second floor. So that basically is expanding the second floor. The first floor, the footprint, we're not expanding except for a front covered porch on the front. The site currently is very heavily screened. All the screening plants that I show here are existing. I'm sure Matt and his wife would probably supplement that at some point, but if you're on the property now, it's very secluded back there, so you cannot see the house from the street at all unless you drive down a very narrow, tight driveway. So we're proposing to expand the second floor, and like I said, basically to put the master suite on the second floor. Currently, the front door of the house is sort of centered, if you can see from this photograph. The front door is centered. It actually, this area right here is an existing pool, and it's sort of an odd setup. So this being the front, this being the existing front door, the pool's right here. So you literally have to come out the front door to go to the pool. So it's sort of a very odd setup. So what I did is I moved the door to the right to get it more towards the driveway. And then we added some glass and which would overlook the pool. The house is going to be basically, the siding will be an actual yellow cedar siding. Roof is going to be a red cedar cider, both natural color. Trim, white, PVC. Windows, Anderson or approved equal, white exterior with the 4/1 grill pattern. We did under the front porch, we introduced a board and batten, a white board and batten, just to sort of highlight the front door just a little. We just felt that with the covered overhang with the cedar, it'd become a little too monolithic, and we wanted to sort of give a little more emphasis to the front door. Let me just go through the elevations. This being, again, this being the front is what I just described. We actually have sort of an option for the front. The rendering, it's very hard to see, but the rendering shows a standing seam metal roof. The drawn elevation actually shows the cedar roof. So we would probably request the board to consider both options. I'm not sure how that works, but we will want to sort of get both options in there. Going to the south elevation, which is the left side, so we're basically going clockwise around the house. There currently is a rooftop deck on which is right over here. A lot of this is just sort of a false railing. But there is a section of the deck that is actually a wood deck that's usable deck. They like to maintain that. We did add some sliding doors to this side of the house. This is the south side of the house. It gets the most sunlight. The neighbor to the south really can't look into this property, so we don't feel there's going to be a privacy issue. Then if you continue clockwise around the house. We have the rear elevation. The rear elevation and also the north, which is basically the right side of the house. We tried to minimize the number of windows on these two elevations.
You succeeded.
What's that?
You succeeded.
Oh, thank you.
In minimizing windows, there's 3.
Well, again, because these are the elevations that are closest to the property lines. Both privacy for Matt and his wife, and just not to overwhelm. Neighbors right now, we're used to seeing a relatively minimal 2-story house. We didn't want to overwhelm with a lot of windows, and there was really no reason to. And there's an existing brick chimney on the house, which is going to be raised with the construction of the second floor. We'll try to match the red brick as best as possible. And that's.
What color are the windows?
I'm sorry?
What color are the windows?
They'll be white. White. Yep. So.
Board members. I'll go first. I think the triple pediment you're having going across the front within the extended roof line is too much. I think it makes the house look heavy. It looks atypical to that section of the Hamptons. And it's too much. And then you've got a lot of competing roof lines, like looking down the side, you've got roof lines that come in various angles. I think it needs to be a little simplified.
I would like to actually offer an option, if I could, if I can just actually hand these to the board. And this just came up last week. I didn't have the time to modify the rendering. What we did, we actually kind of clipped off the top of the gables with a hip.
I don't think that helps you, because it's so much heavy weight that's up there. And you've got sort of one of every. You've got a clip roof going into clip roof, going to clip roof. Now you've got 3 gables with a flat wall with a roof that extends beneath them. I think there's a simpler detail across the front of the house. There's a house that's not dissimilar to this, that way it came through, and it's just, when you look at it at the street, it just always looks jarring. And I think that is not harmonious to what we see to houses in that neighborhood.
Again, I'll say, considering you can't see this house from the street.
Well, we're here, we still
Yeah,
have to.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just.
Some neighbors
We should just go
can.
home.
Yeah. So that would be my comment on that. And this, when I look at the balcony on your south, how big is the balcony?
Well, it was from this other thing that was all balconies, so.
Yeah, but this is a
I
new build. So,
agree.
but how big is that balcony? And that faces that faces a neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good.
I want to know what the sight line would look like from that to that neighbor, because I know it's existing currently, but now with this kind of access from a whole second floor, this might be an opportunity just to understand what that is for the neighbor before we make a decision.
Let's see, that, I don't have a scale on it.
But see, then it steps back here and it clips, and there's all these too many. It's too busy. And then on your south elevation, look at how many. Like, you've got the roof lines with the heavy trim that go either side of the chimney, and then another roof line just above it. That almost looks like an unnecessarily trimmed detail.
That is a product of the bathroom. I had to get some ceiling height, so I was trying to keep the facial lines low on the side, and then to get the head height in the bathroom,
it just
I had
looks,
to kick out a dormer.
Well, you don't have to, but that's what you've chosen to do right now, and it's not really working. I think it's too much and too heavy. And then when you look at it, when you look at the, what was it, rendering? Because when you look at it from here and you see all this,
Mm-hmm.
it's too much. It's too heavy. It's just got too many angles.
So
and
you'd rather
too many
see more of a simpler,
Cleaner.
Yeah.
more one type of a roof.
Yeah, I'd rather a cleaner, simpler roof line, and then like these extending roofs here. And then I'm assuming, what's the water management? There are gutters on here?
Oh, there'll be gutters, yeah.
Yeah, well, you could put them into the rendering.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you add even more weight to that, visual weight to that, it's just not working.
The purpose of that was, again, to try to keep some of the height down. But if you're looking for more of a two-story,
I think what, you've got a almost true two-story house, or what you've got is a lot of embellishment on it. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's over, I think from the front-facing facade, there's too much embellishment. And then with all the floating roof lines, it just
Yeah.
becomes too
It
much.
just,
I would agree with Mark that especially this is disconcerting here where you're not quite sure what's coming or going.
again, what we're working with the existing footprint of the house.
I understand.
So,
I understand
because of that, you
yeah.
have roof lines you have to deal with, so.
Right, I understand.
When you're going through this much construction, you can change them, you know. Because it needs to marry together and make a whole.
Okay.
It needs to marry together and make a whole. I think the balance of the back of the house, other than I want to understand what the sight line is from that balcony now to the neighbor, I think the balance of the first floor windows and balance and lighting is good. So the south elevation, the east elevation is really where I'm having a lot of the visual problems that I don't think are harmonious. And where's my east and west?
Maybe take inspiration from the existing south elevation, the way the two windows are grouped under one dormer. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying that, just, it's a way of simplifying I'm not saying it's gonna work in your case, I'm just saying there are ways of cleaning up the roof line.
All right, like I said, the attempt to keep some of the facial lines low, that's what sort of splits some of the roof lines up. But if you're saying that's too much, then you're basically telling me to
There's
raise
just a lot of,
raise a lot of the walls
lot.
to a two-story type of a wall situation. No, I was trying to keep things low, and then like I said, that's what sort of split the roofs up.
and on both, I will say, I understand why you tell me you're doing it.
Yeah.
But both the west and the north elevation, your window to wall ratio is thin.
But that's because it's next to
Yeah,
neighbors.
but is that true on the west side as well?
Evidently.
There's no windows on the second floor. Is that because it's all bathroom or?
That's basically
Page A5.
A5.
I think it's tight.
Yeah, basically we have, the back of a bathroom, we have back of a closet there, but again, I can certainly introduce some windows.
Well,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
most people complain that there are too many windows.
Well, I'm a little thrown because windows have been a big
Do it for
issue
me.
tonight, and I figured, okay, we don't have a lot of issues, windows, that hopefully will help, and now you're telling me to put windows in, so.
I'm not
I mean,
telling you.
well, I can appreciate, the mass concern without windows, so yes, I can certainly.
Well, usually if you look
look
at the design guidelines for the village, there's sort of recommended window-to-wall ratios in there. And these are, I understand why, because you're in a narrow lot, well, you may make that choice, but two of your walls are a little thin on window-to-wall ratio.
Okay.
Let me ask this, and then are there any comments from the public? Okay. When do you think you can come back?
I'm going to be out of town on the 14th.
Okay.
If my client can represent himself, he'll come short.
I would,
I
don't think that's
I think you'd
wise.
want to come back on the 28th.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever we can do.
I
guess.
just- My experience with someone other than an architect presenting work, if we ask one question, it all goes kafooey kind of. I mean,
Okay.
he's welcome to
I was
try.
represented by John Bennett in the ZBA. I mean, I don't know. I could talk to
Yeah,
him.
but this isn't legal. This is
Right.
visual.
Yeah. What I generally find is if the architect's not here, we have a question they can't answer, the answer is, well, I'll have to
So
go
then
ask him
we
and get
still-
back to you, and then we end up back
Right.
in the same place,
I
so.
just don't have the-
It's just
Okay, so I would recommend the 28th.
When, 28th? Okay,
Yeah.
so then we'll take the 28th.
Okay?
Then we could probably get it all
Okay,
done.
so-
Think about
Yeah,
it.
true. Okay, all right. gives me
Okay,
time to-
I am going to motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment to July 28th for 39 Moses. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
aye.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so that brings us to
What are we?
carryover non-historic gate at 145 Wickapog Road.
What? One something? Oh,
Yes.
the house.
This is your 8-foot gate that's going down to 7
The
feet.
8-foot. My house, I drive
I feel like this
past
is the
every
8-foot
day.
gate that's going down to 7 feet. Is that what I'm about to see?
There you go.
I feel like I'm clairvoyant.
611.
A
They're
611.
making progress. though.
611.
Well, let's get that on the record.
Yeah.
Again, just a minor change down a foot.
Well, it makes a difference, does it not?
Start by introducing yourself for the record, please.
Brian Mahoney, landscape architect.
Yes, Brian.
Andrew Sparby, landscape designer with Brian Mahoney Landscape Architecture.
Okay, and last time we were here, the issue that we had is we felt the gate was too tall for the property, and you have solved it by,
Lowering it a foot.
okay,
I think it makes a big difference.
I think it looks a lot more appropriate.
And the
And
client's happy with it if we.
Really?
did you also bring down the solid panel a little to maintain your 40% transparency?
did.
It looks like it.
Great
Okay.
to add a biker there.
What?
This human scale of the bike.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
helpful.
Board, any comments?
No, I said go with it.
Much
Okay.
improved.
Okay.
You
Motion
did that
then.
whole time.
I should have called you first. Motion to accept the application for 145 Wickapog Road for updated drawings presented on June, what's today's date?
23rd.
June 23rd. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for listening and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Okay, motion to close the June 23rd meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.